Green and Toby Green a bit stiff.
Thank you. Here's the MCG.
Your fortune awaits. Please sit down. You desire connection to your community, to be abreast of events and up to date at all times. In your future, I see the ABC Listen app. I see you up to date with current affairs, politics, and the latest conversations on your local ABC radio station. Your reading is complete. Put that filthy money away. The ABC Listen app is as free as a bird. Now go and download the ABC Listen app.
ABC Sport.
This is ABC Sports coverage of the 2023 AFL Premiership season.
Marks out to the right, steps on goal, superb finish. Turns, whacks it straight through the middle. Pulls the trigger on goal, and goes bang! 'Cause here it comes, here it comes.
On ABC Radio, ABC Sport Digital, and now streaming on the ABC Listen app. Look for the AFL button.
Something big is coming, I know.
A night of yellow and black celebration at the MCG as Trent Cotchin becomes the sixth Tiger to pass the magical 300-game milestone. The leader of Richmond's golden era, a kiss to wife Brooke as he made his way out on the MCG with his two daughters running out the banner. He joins Kevin Bartlett, Jack Revolt, Jack Dyer, Shane Edwards and Francis Burke. It was also great to see his former coach Damien Hardwick is in the house as his fearless captain reaches the 300-game milestone. The Tigers on field have won 2 of their last 3 games under interim coach Andrew McWalter, and finals are still a slim possibility if they can get their season clicking. The Saints, though, their 8 wins and 4 losses, on track to play finals in season 2023. Could they get a victory tonight and stay in touch with the top 4? There's no late change with Hugo Ralphsmith, the sub for the Tigers, and Cooper Sharman for the Saints. Matt Clinch with you for Grandstand AFL. We're expecting a big crowd at the MCG tonight. Jess Webster alongside me to call it tonight. Welcome, Jess.
G'day, Clinchy. Good to be here and good to see you that you've finally made it to the MCG.
I fell for the Cardinals sin. Don't go on Punt Road in a Richmond home game. Good
to see that you made it. I got here really early, as I normally do, but I saw Trent Cotchin do his initial 90-minute or warm-up 90 minutes before the bounce when there was nobody here but the diehards in the Richmond cheer squad at the Punt Road, and he ran straight down to them and they gave him a thunderous applause when nobody else was here in the stadium. It was really quite a lovely moment. Just goes to show how revered he is. So a really, really big night for Cotchin tonight, but I also think a really big night for St Kilda. Obviously, they're 5th on the ladder, but if they want to play finals, these are the games you have to beat against a Richmond side that still has a lot of class in it.
And they spoiled the party last week for Lance Franklin in his 350th game. Can they do it again? We shall find out tonight on ABC Sport. Essendon Premiership player Adam Ramaskis is here. Welcome, Rama.
Yes, good evening. Beautiful night here in Melbourne at the MCG. I think it'll be St Kilda's greatest test of their defence tonight. Richmond are known for playing that chaos style of football where the ball's on the ground, a lot going inside their forward 50. St Kilda love to set up their defenders. They love the high ball coming in, the easy spoils of defending together. So be fascinating watch to see how good they are. St Kilda were in this similar position last year at 8-4. Then we know what happened from there, and they lose a coach and Ross Lyon comes in, and now they're back right at the same stage.
And sitting alongside Rama, a man who knows a thing or two about milestones. He is the AFL Games record holder. Brent Harvey's with us on a Saturday night. Welcome, Boomer.
Yes, good evening. And like you, Clinchy, I sat in Punt Road for a long, long time. I then parked my car, and of course I've still got a moon boot on.
Oh, no.
And the lady that was working said, do you want one of those little golf carts that can bring you to the stand? And I said no at first, and I thought, it's a bloody good idea. So I said, yes, I'll grab one. And she wheeled one down. They come over, and there was 4 seats already taken. So I ended up walking from the car park at MCG. But no, looking forward to tonight. Interesting. It's going to be, for me, can St Kilda set up their zone defence on the MCG? We know they can do it at Marvel Stadium. Of course, this ground's wider and longer. Can they play the same style here at the MCG?
What's this milestone week like? When you're celebrating 300, you celebrate 400, but all the attention, all the focus, it doesn't seem like it's fully Trent Cotchin's go, but he's trying to smell the roses as best he can.
Yeah, it's a really big week. When you play such a big milestone, it's a massive week, and it's all about you. At the end of it, you do get sick of it, and all you want to do, for me, I wanted to share the experience with my children, which was fantastic, but it doesn't matter if you don't win. So I was lucky enough to win all my milestones, which is fantastic. But
That was the next question.
if Trent doesn't win tonight, he'll walk away from this week bitterly disappointed. It'll be a great personal accolade, but not a great team accolade.
You hold the record, don't you, for most wins in milestone games?
Every milestone we've won. So 50, 100, all the way through to
Incredible.
to 400. So
Trying to follow in Boomer Harvey's footsteps. Lauren Borden's the final member of our team in the front row of the grandstand. Welcome, Lauren.
Thanks, Clinchy. It is a clear night at the moment so far, but it looks like there's a giant rain band that's coming across Melbourne, so I don't think we'll be able to avoid that tonight. Like you mentioned, Hugo Ralph-Smith down to the bench for Richmond. He was all smiles as he made his way there, and Cooper Sharman for St Kilda as the Saints kicking towards the city end of Punt Road to get this match underway.
Thanks, Lauren. And Trent Cotchin right in the middle. Round 14 of the AFL. Richmond and St Kilda. Here's Jess Webster.
Marshall with the first tap for the Saints, straight down to Taranto, who's coughed it up. Gresham now for St Kilda, sends him inside 50 for the first time. Slipped through the fingertips of King. Gresham continued running into inside 50 and picked up the ball, gives it to Higgins. And there's a free kick off the ball going St Kilda's way. Gresham was caught high as he went for the footy, and he'll line up for the first shot on goal, 30 metres out, directly in front.
Just looking here. Oh, he might be a touch unlucky there, Nankervis. Maybe a touch high. It did rock Gresham because he's got up a little bit ginger from that, but should convert here 25 metres out directly in front.
St Kilda have a really great record against Richmond at the G. They've won 5 of their past 7 games against the Tigers at the G, and this would be a fantastic start for the Saints as Gresham, point blank range, 30 metres out, celebrated as soon as it left his boot. The Saints with the opener. 1 straight 6 to Richmond yet to score. We played only a minute here in this first term on Grandstand AFL.
it's a great start. That's his second touch too, Gresham. He got the little kick inside 50, so fantastic start by Gresham and the Saints. Interesting to see Battle going to Dusty Martin. Now, he plays a really unique position because what he'll do, he'll try to play between the midfield and the forward. He started as a forward, but as he's getting held really tightly, he'll come up to the midfield and find out how far Battle wants to go with him. And once he starts dropping off, that's when he does his damage. So we'll keep an eye on that one as well.
Of course, it's also day 2 of the Ashes. Coverage available on the ABC Listen app. You volunteering to do Around the Grounds, Rammer?
Yep, I'm on.
Okay.
That's me.
Australia none for 14 when play resumes today. David Warner's on 8. Usman Khawaja is on 4. Back in the middle of the ground, it's Nankervis up against Marshall. Bounce will be recalled as it flared out to the right.
The other one I'm watching, Boomer, here is Jack Sinclair and Liam Baker. So Jack Sinclair is playing across half-back, but Liam Baker looks like he's going with him. Baker's played a lot across Richmond's half-back line this year.
Thrown up in the middle of the ground. Nankervis one down the tap. Taranto couldn't take it. Shea Bolton slides in. Trying to knock it forward for the Tigers. A pinball's off Sinclair. Taranto can't clear the congestion. A chance for the Saints as the hand pass is fired forward by Winhager. Onto it, Dan Rioli. Hand pass just a tad wide for Jaden Short. Could have been taken high. No whistle. Dan Rioli back onto it. Trent Cotchin gets his first touch. In game 300, up towards half forward. In the end, Baker had to spoil it down. Inside 50 to Revolt, who becomes the tackler. As the footy's locked on the chest of Cal Wilkie. It's another good matchup to keep an eye on. Jack Revolt and Cal Wilkie for the Tigers forward 50. A throw in 40 metres out from the Tigers goal.
Marshall takes it out of the ruck, gets boot to ball, doesn't go the required distance. They scrap for it at half forward for the Tigers. Nankervis picks it up, gives it to Dan Rioli. His hand pass misses Martin. Still a chance for the Tigers as Rioli gets it back, gives it to Graham. Skies the kick towards full forward. Ryan's underneath it. Couldn't complete the mark. Ball alive at the top of the square. Howard for the Saints. Hand passes to Brad Hill from the back pocket. Lovely kick. Hits Higgins at right half back, playing his 50th game in club colours, of course. A lifelong Saints fan, and he can send the Saints down the line.
Former Tiger, who didn't feature in their premiership, sends it around the wing. And a good mark taken in the end by Mitch Owens. A Rising Star nominee. He has it just in front of the 2 benches. The Tigers trailing by a goal. Owen sends it towards half forward in the direction of Filippo. Flies and tries to bring it down. Cotchin's front and centre for the Tigers. Hand pass to Broad. He runs out of room. And a boundary throw in at right half forward for the Saints.
You mentioned that matchup, Rama. Sinclair is so damaging this year, and every team's got a running halfback they want to give the ball to now. He's going to pay no attention to his Richmond forward, so I think they want to try to score on him.
Toss back in. Nankervis works it down to the front, straight to Taranto. Kicks straight towards the boundary line and bounces on its point and stays in. Stocker gathers for the Saints. Hand pass to Dougal Howard. Retreats back to Battle. He's all on his own. He loads up and sends it towards half forward. McIntosh is waiting for that kick. He dropped the mark. And off hands it comes off Caminiti and a boundary throw in on the members' side of the MCG. Saints lead by a goal. Opening goal came the way of Jade Gresham.
I'm still just watching this Sinclair-Baker matchup. Baker's gone to the contest now. Sinclair's sort of sitting off the back here. He's got Judson Clark with him. I think Richmond need to give him a bit more respect than that.
From the ball in, the Saints win it through Windhager, off to Ross, to Marshall, back to Windhager, all by hand from right half forward. Tumbles a kick inside the arc. Tigers have the numbers. And Vlostone takes the intercepting grab, gives it off to Short, who kicks looking for Graham. The spoil came from Wanganeen Millerer. It spills away Brad Hill from left half forward. Scrubbers a kick forward. Picked up by Dan Rioli. Hand passes backwards to Short. His kick not a great one. It bounces at the feet of Martin, who just gets boot to ball. Only as far as Marshall of St Kilda. Gives it to Filippo, who then gives it off to Battle from 45 out. A brilliant strike at the footy. And the Saints have a couple. 2 straight 12 to Richmond yet to score. 5.5 played opening term on Grandstand AFL. And that was Josh Battle's first goal of season 2023.
That wasn't great by Dusty there. He had a chance to lock the ball in, just get another stoppage for him. And he just put it on his boot and it went nowhere. It went to a St Kilda player. They gave him the out number at the contest. 1 handball, 2 handball, and Battle kicks a goal from 45 metres. So, Dusty, you've got to hold that ball in. And not worry about it. Yeah, just get a restart. Back your boys around the football and start again.
Not good news for Saints fans as well. Messiah Wanganeen Miller has come towards the bench. Lauren Borden, yell out if you can give us an update.
Boundary.
Down to you, Loz.
That was just behind the scenes. Yes, they're just watching the vision. He limped off pretty sorely with the doctor, so they're all crowding around. There's 2 physios and 2 doctors looking at the vision to try and see exactly how he rolled it.
Thanks, Loz. Nankervis wins down the tap for the Tigers. Got it to Taranto. Back to Nankervis. Kicks towards half forward. Morris Rioli Jr. couldn't gather. Big tackle from McIntosh. And it might even be a dangerous tackle. The advantage is taken as Wood was ridden into the turf. The Saints on half back. Battle couldn't take it cleanly. Now he becomes the tackler on Morris Rioli Jr. And the umpire will ball it up at left half forward for the Tigers. St Kilda 2 straight 12 to Richmond yet to score. 6 minutes gone in the opening term. Thrown up. Brad Crouch for the Saints. Hand pass looking for Marshall. Socket forward by Cochin to the Tigers. Only as far as Stocker. He's tackled by Taranto. Spills out the way of Cochin. Hand pass to the Tigers away to McIntosh. Inside 50. Revolts out number 2 on 1. Gets to the back. Ryan deft touch to Baker. Lost his footing. Was a trip. No whistle. And Webster lays the tackle. Jack Revolt lays the cane to the umpire. And the umpire says holding the ball. St Kilda free kick in the right back pocket.
Well, Baker went to ground and he looked at the umpire, so he was waiting to see if the umpire would blow the whistle. Clearly didn't. And then simple tackle, Dougal Howard holding the ball.
Howard long down the line of a contest, off hands, close to the boundary line. Now it's over and out. Richmond fans aren't happy with that previous call against Baker. A great crowd in tonight. Packed mostly, you would think, with Tigers fans. Plenty of yellow and black in the crowd. They trail by a couple of goals early. Ball back into play. On the members' wing, Nankervis. Hand passes to Martin. Gives it to Cochin, the milestone man. Jams it towards half forward. It's off hands. Battle couldn't collect. Rewalt spun in the 360. Gets the hand pass out to Taranto. He just got the hand pass out to Baker. His squaring kick is a beautiful one. And the Tigers can line up for their first shot at goal.
Jack Ross.
Jack Ross has floated forward.
He just snuck down there. So
did he see him then, runner?
I think he did.
Great kick.
I think he did.
Great kick.
It's terrific by Taranto there in the clinches. He stood up in the tackle and was able to give that little handball to Baker. Now, it was good vision by Baker, no doubt.
Jack Ross, 45-degree angle to the right, 20 metres out, and he's just pulled it left for a minor. St Kilda 2 straight 12, Richmond 1 behind, 8.5 minutes played Grandstand AFL.
Just poked at it.
Yeah. St Kilda doing so much right. The only thing I don't like, Vlosson sitting behind the ball on his own. So they're just going to keep him accountable. When Richmond are playing their best, like Geelong, they get a spare.
Boomer Harvey alongside Adam Romanascus, Matt Clinch, Jess Webster and Lauren Borden with you for Saturday Night Footy. It's Jack Sinclair trying to find the right avenue out of defence. Goes short and Crouch takes the mark. Hand pass back to Sinclair. Works it out to left half back where Cal Wilkie runs the outer side. Sends it out in the direction of Filippo. Richmond are well set. And Noah Bolter is able to take the intercepting mark for the Tigers. Turns and looks immediately inside the defensive 50 to Dan Rioli, who goes all the way back to Tyler Young. Only 25 metres out from his defensive goal. Chips a kick out to Ryan.
Not to the ruckman.
Samson Ryan sends it out towards McIntosh, charging in Stocker, got a hand to it to spoil it down, trying to flick it out as Marshall, out to the advantage of Stocker, close to the boundary line, Wood slipped over, and a boundary throw in at right half forward for the Saints. They're 2 straight 12, Richmond 1 behind, approaching 10 minutes gone in the opening term.
Ryan's moved into the ruck for the Tigers against Marshall, who palms it down. Lovely tap to Crouch to Windhager. His hand pass to Wood. He had a fumble, hacks it off the deck, but only as far as Grimes, who marks it centre half back for the Tigers. Gives it to Dan Rioli. Flares his kick out wide to Ross. Darts it short, but he's kicked it straight into Butler, who turns around and kicks the goal from 50 out. That hurts. St Kilda have 3 in a row in this opening term, 3 straight 18. Richmond 1 behind, 10 minutes played opening term on Grandstand AFL. Adam Ramanauskas and Brent Harvey, your experts.
Who kicked that then into the man of the mark?
Well, that's just...
Ross.
Ross.
Yeah.
Did he try to claim this? That's gone 4.5 metres at best. I reckon Butler tried to claim that before he went. It was a beautiful kick off one leg though, Rammer.
It's another turnover.
Yep.
2 goals from turnovers.
Yeah, so just straight up, Richmond coming out of their defence. Just, call it lazy. I think that's a simple error by Ross there, where he just simply kicked it into the man on the mark, and Butler then's able to send it home. So a little bit of laziness coming out of defence for the Tigers.
Saints with the opening 3 goals to try and take the sting out of this milestone match. Shea Bolton gets the clearance for the Tigers. Kicks towards half forward, but Sinclair takes the mark for St Kilda against Prestia. Hand pass to Webster, sends it out to the southern wing. Mark is taken by Burns. He wants to play on and give the hand pass to Hill. He cuts around Ross and looks inside 50 in the direction of Max King. He flies against Bolter, who used his body well. Takes the mark in the right back pocket for the Tigers.
This is where St Kilda are at their best now. They set up the ground so well defensively.
Bolter sends it up towards Miller. Reaching over the top as Howard spoils it down. Jack Graham couldn't take it cleanly for the Tigers. Hand pass to Cochin, to Martin inboard. Risky hand pass to Taranto. Cochin kept it going. Hand pass back to Graham. Lost the footy though. The Saints through Sinclair. Quick 1-2 with Brad Crouch. He looks out to left half forward, and Caminiti has a couple of metres space. He marks right on 50 out to the left. Veers out to the right. He wants to send it long to the goal mouth. King's there. He flies and takes the mark. No. Yes, had it long enough. Not sure he had it when he hit the ground. Flying on the back of Noah Bolter. But the umpire said that's enough to be paid a mark in my eyes. And we'll line up 15 metres out directly in front.
Gee, that's a lovely grab. It's 201 centimetres or something like that. A bit taller maybe.
It's just Jake Gresham there, what he did. He took Noah Bolter off the line of the ball just slightly before Max King was able to get up on Nathan Broad's back. So just gave that little bit of separation.
Max King, in his 3 games back, he's hit 4 goals, 3 goals to get on the board and continue the run for the Saints. He steers it straight through. And the Saints are firing. 4 straight 24. To the Tigers, 1 behind. 4 goals through the opening 12 minutes here at the MCG in Trent Cotchin's 300th match. Down to the boundary to Lauren Borden.
More good news for the Saints as well. Wanganeen Miller is okay. He had a bit of a problem with his right knee, so below the kneecap and the outside of the kneecap. We'll have a watch on him. He's come onto the field now, but he looks to be okay.
That's a great point you make there, Rammer. I've just seen the replay of Gresham, and that won't get highlighted tonight. Not too many people will see that, but I guarantee you on Monday morning when they go in their review, that will get brought up to say very, very unselfish.
Didn't touch him. Didn't touch Noah Bolter at all, but just got
off
to his line.
Agree.
And just allowed Max King to jump at that ball and take a pretty simple mark for a guy that's 202 centimetres in the end.
A hot start to the Saints in this one.
Oh.
Owens in ruck, takes out Ryan, it spills to Taranto. Wobbly kick out wide to Ross, collects on the bounce. Wheels around, pokes the kick towards Ryan at centre half forward. It's a good one. He's marked just inside the centre square. Wants to move it quickly. Sends it to a dangerous position at the top of the square. Rewalt's in the pack. Goes over everyone. Battle close to the line. Does he keep it alive? He does. Hand passes to the last line of defence. Howard has a fumble. It spills to Martin. He's squaring. Kick to the top of the squares. Marked by Bolton. Play on is the call. Not 15. He chucks it on his boot and kicks the goal anyway. Tigers are on the board through Shea Bolton. St Kilda 4 straight 24 to Richmond 117. 14 minutes played opening term on Grandstand AFL.
The St Kilda boys are saying this is touch, so they'll certainly go to review, but I just don't understand why now. You got pressure on you. You're inside 9. Just take the ball through. You start again.
Even battle there. Yeah, take the ball out of bounds.
Out of bounds. You know, I think Wilkie actually tried to disguise it better than he had to. He did the old fake fumble, but he didn't need to do it. Just take the ball and walk over the line. I think they're called touched or hit the post. I can see the St Kilda players all pointing and talking to the umpire.
Well, the umpire's got the earpiece in, so if the ball gets bounced, it's good to go.
Looks like he is.
Looks like it's good to go.
So Tigers fans relieved to have their first goal on the board. And Shea Bolton, who's having a great season, averaging over 20 disposals and a goal a game. In the ruck, Mitch Owens is having a run for the Saints, but it's Dan Rioli who runs off the back edge of the centre square. Receives the hand pass and gives it to Cochin. He kicks up towards Judson Clark at right half forward. Can't take the mark. Battle for the Saints. Hand pass to Brad Hill. Links up with Steele. The Saints captain at left half back. Pokes a kick up to Crouch. He marks at centre half back for the Saints. Works it over the top to Butler. Has to gather on the half volley. Hand pass to Hill. Back to Butler. Cut through traffic. Hand pass forward to Ross. Squeeze the kick inside 50 to the right forward pocket. It's too wide for Max King and it goes out of play. A throw in at the city end of the MCG. The Saints inside 50 leading by 17 points.
Look at this now, Boomer. So St Kilda just squeeze the ground up and play the whole game within 60 metres of where the football is.
There's Mick sitting alongside Wayne Campbell and Damien Hardwick.
I think
the Richmond royalty.
I think there's a premiership reunion for the 72
you're right.
team, 73 team, tonight for the Tigers.
From the throw-in, short for the Tigers. Kicks it long down the line looking for Miller, who couldn't complete the mark. He taps it out to Clark. His hand pass looking for Ross, close to the line at half-back. Hand passes defensively to Short, who jams it on the boot. Down the line, Ryan worked himself into front position, couldn't complete the mark. Baker collects. Hand passes inboard to Cochin. Now gives it to Prestia, who kicks it inside forward 50. Morris Rioli has a couple to beat. He tries to tap it to his own advantage. Now gets help from McIntosh, who runs into a brick wall and a couple of Saints. Brought to ground. Ball up is the call. 40 out from the Tigers' goal.
Unlucky there, McIntosh.
I think he got blindsided the umpire. I think there was a couple of bodies in his way. Mason Ward, amazing amount of work there just to get there to Rioli to help out.
That's the ABC's own Mick Malthouse. If you didn't work that out, Baker gathers hard against the boundary, screws it back towards the teeth of goal, and Dougal Howard this time decides he'll rush it through for a minor score. Saints leading by 16 points. 17 minutes gone, opening term. The Saints kicked the opening 4 goals of the match before Richmond have kicked the last.
Trent Cochin up to 9 disposals, leading all comers on the ground in his 300th game. Dude, Howard almost ran too far from the kick-in. Gives it to Battle, who kicks it long to the outer side looking for Hill. Knocked away from him by Ross. Out of play. Throw in at right half forward for Richmond. That trailed the Saints by 16 points. 4 goals straight to St Kilda to start this game. They kicked the first 4. Shea Bolton a few moments ago got the Tigers on the board. Beautiful night here in Melbourne, but we are expecting rain a little later. All back into play. Nankervis in front position, palms it down, but Crouch is there to pick it off for St Kilda. In a 1-2 with Hill, then gives it to Wanganeen Miller. That kick, not a great one. He's turned it over. Jack Ross just forward of halfway, takes the intercepting grab, kicks into the pocket for the Tigers looking for Miller. And it's knocked away from him. And the Saints can look to work it out of defence. Marshall has a fumble, and now they're under pressure. Stocker, he couldn't collect it. Umpire whistle, free kick St Kilda.
Too high, going the way of Dan Butler, who takes the free kick for the Saints. Hand pass to Hill and works it out to Brad Crouch. Left half back for the Saints, up the wing. Filippo marks. Just attacking side of the AFL logo on the southern stand wing. Hand pass away to Seb Ross. Sends it long inside 50. Owens is there. Out the back, a chance for Gresham. He might have given away a free kick for a shove. And the Tigers fans are relieved to get a free kick, and Nathan Broad will take it.
Yeah, it was a good call in the end by the umpire. Gresham just gave enough just to get him underneath the ball, but 2 hands planted in the number. He's always going to get a free kick.
Broad in the right back pocket with the Saints leading by 16 points. Sends it long up towards Miller. Tries to pull in the one-handed mark. Battle eventually gathers his opponent. Hand pass to Rawson. Works it back to Hill. Wheels onto his right-hand side. Long kick over the head of Kamamidi, and the mark is taken by Broad. Releases the Tigers through Vlosten. Hand pass away to Dan Rioli. Highest disposal getter on the ground with 9 alongside Cochin. Links up with McIntosh. Sends it out wide to Dustin Martin. Takes the mark. Hand pass back to McIntosh. Works it up to Dan Rioli. He links it back inboard to McIntosh. They've worked this well by hand. Now back to Martin at left half forward. Kicks as long as he can from 55. It might get there. Close to the goal line with Hill there. He claims he got a hand onto it. The Tigers Army liked it.
I'm going goal here, Clinchy.
It must be very close because little David Roden, he's a great goal umpire.
He's very confident.
He normally doesn't like doing this.
Right.
He'll have a smile on his face either way.
He's calling touch.
I reckon it was touched.
Touch. Touch ball.
The Richmond fans at the punt road end gave you a good indication that they thought it was a line ball. Maybe we're trying to convince the umpire it was over, but it looks like Hill's got a touch onto it.
Would have been
just
some
seen
goal
that
from Martin.
on the big screen as well.
He's kicked that from about 55, hasn't he? It was a launch.
You would think with his good mate Trent Cotchin, who's played such a pivotal role in his career, that Dustin Martin would be keen for a big night. Trying to wrestle momentum back Richmond's way. St Kilda by 15 points.
Wangadeen Miller from the kick in, short to Wilkie in the right back pocket. Kicks it back to Wangadeen Miller. Still inside defensive 50. Called now to move it along. Howard provides the shepherd. Wangadeen Miller goes for a run, then kicks long down the line to a contest. The big fist came from Grimes. It spills away of Filippo. He's turned it over to Prestia, who hand passes inboard to Baker. Chips beautifully to centre half forward. Morris Rioli marks. Tigers fans want 50. A little bit of treatment as he took the mark. Nothing coming from the umpire. Rioli 50 metres out. Kicks laterally to short. A lot of numbers inside forward 50 for the Tigers. Short is forced to bomb it long. It might go all the way. That was huge from Jaden Short. The Tigers have a couple in a row. St Kilda 4 straight 24 to the Tigers 2-3-15. 21 minutes played opening term on Grandson AFL. The margin's 9 points.
It's the work around the contest here. The ball comes long down the wing in front of us. And there's a Richmond contest. Grimes spoils the ball, and it's a bit of a scramble. But it's Prestia finally with the clean hands who's able to release the ball. Gets to Morris Rioli at centre half forward. Then a little bit of patience, Boomer. When Morris takes the ball at centre half forward, St Kilda have dropped back. So he waits, and Jaden Short then drifts over about 20 metres away from Morris Rioli. And I thought he was a metre or two too far.
We thought Dusty launched the ball. Well, he's kicked that from about 60. St Kilda have got to be switched on to that.
Yeah.
There are going to be 2 plays around the football. You don't want to have the ball outside 50 for Richmond. It's Dustin Martin and it's Jaden Short. Unfortunately for Saints, they left Short.
I reckon that's 3 strides from the centre square. I think that's 65, 70 metres. Get the tape measure out. Sinclair for the Saints gets the clearance eventually. Feeds the hand pass away. The long kick from Filippo inside 50. And the mark is claimed by Max King. And there's a bit going on off the ball. Owens is into Bolter. Butler's letting him know that he was beaten in the air. And Broad, who's tried on so many occasions to be the third man up, on this occasion was nowhere to be seen.
Oh, I think that's what Bolter was doing too. Looking at him saying, mate, I need your support there.
Yeah, but he's standing still at the end, Bolter. Like, you got to make some contact.
Was it you that was saying the other week that you'd love to see Bolter come off a little bit more and use his athleticism?
Had to wait till round 10, Max King, but he's back in a big way as he comes in for his second in the opening quarter. And the Saints have 5. They may have had their issues scoring in recent weeks, but not an issue here at the MCG. 5 straight 30 to the Tigers, 2-3-15. 22 minutes gone in the opening term after Richmond had the last 2 goals of the match.
I think Noah Bolter is one of the most athletic players in the competition. But he gets into habits in games where he wants to show how strong he is. And there's absolutely no need for it. If you can run and launch at the ball and spoil the ball, that's a win. You don't need to then turn around. Now look now, he's having a wrestle again with Max King. Max King kicked 2 goals in the first quarter.
He played a game against Tom Hawkins where he almost worked it out in the second quarter. There's no point wrestling with him, and he was instrumental in the Richmond's win.
But he's still going.
Back in the middle from the restart, Marshall gives it to Steele. Off to Crouch and now to Filippo. He kicks the Saints up towards half forward. Bounces inside 50. And the only one there is Young for the Tigers. He's kicked it down the line. And it goes through a couple of sets of legs, and Wanganeen Miller is out the back for St Kilda. Gives it to Crouch from the wing outer side. Kicks it towards Gresham, but it bounces out of play for a throw in at left half forward. What have I missed?
You're following the footy, and I'm watching Jack against Dylan Grimes wrestling on the MCG in the forward pocket.
Well, it was actually Noah Bolter to grab Higgins, threw him to the ground. There's 4 umpires now. If that's not a free kick, that they shouldn't be playing holding the man at all tonight.
Yeah, I think Dan Butler was trying to make that point. How's it not a free kick? Crouch for the Saints. Hand pass away to Burns. His kick is smothered. It spills the way of Shea Bolton. He sends Richmond long down the wing in the direction of Miller, who's wrestling in a one-on-one against Dougal Howard, and it gets to the bat. Wanganeen Miller gathers. He looks into the middle of the ground, and adventurous kick. It has to work for Higgins. Spoiled down by Grimes. Gathers. Hand pass to Prestia. Feeds it to Rioli Jr. Looks into the pocket, and he's offline. Just couldn't quite control it at full speed, and it skids off the turf, out of play up against the left behind post. A boundary throw in with the Tigers deep in attack, but they thought it could have been a goal. St Kilda by 14 points.
Well, I actually think he was passing the Baker there. I really do, because he missed the goal by a long, long way.
Ball back into play. A chance for Richmond in attack. Nankervis palms it down only as far as would have St Kilda. His hand pass to Crouch under pressure with the kick. Skies it down the line. It might be coming back. Grimes, though, dropped perhaps what he should have taken. Now has to turn tackler on Owens, brings him to ground, ball up on the members' wing. St Kilda 5 straight to start tonight. They only have scored 40% with 40% of their inside 50s. I'll get that out eventually. This season so far. Let me try that again. They've only scored 40% of their inside 50s. Does that make sense? Am I making sense?
Yep, that's right.
You've got it.
The point is, they started incredibly well tonight with 5 straight. No winner from that stoppage, and we'll do it all again this time on the edge of the centre square.
So this is the interesting one. St Kilda got an extra at the stoppage, but Richmond have got Dylan Grimes down, and St Kilda also got a spare.
Sorry, Boomer.
They've just let both forwards come into the stoppage and taken a spare each.
Mason Woods clearing kick only as far as Ross inside 50, and Cochin's got it. Slightly left of centre, 45 metres out. Does the 33-year-old legs of Trent Cotchin have the journey from just outside 50?
Kick a top. Just kick a top.
Well, in Channel Dustin Martin and Jaden Short, he'll have no problems.
Has he got the distance on a drop punt,
I
Rummer?
think so, yeah. He would know. He's such a smart player, Cochin, so
Just kick
he
it
would
just
know.
outside 50, I think.
Trent Cotchin veers out to the right, looking for every millimetre. He strikes it from 49. He's got it! Toast the magical milestone with a goal in the opening term, and they come from everywhere to celebrate. His wife Brooke on the big screen with her hands above her head celebrating. He takes his place in Tigerland history, the 6th player to pass the 300-game milestone. A 3-time premiership player, and now his former coach Damien Hardwick's there as well with a smile. Welcome to the 300 club, Koch. And no doubt a signature moment for him to remember and to celebrate with his family.
And you're spot on, Ramo. He is such a smart footballer, and he just got that extra metre or two by running outside there, kicked the ball right on 50 instead of kicking from 52, which sometimes can be the difference. But very smart, you're right.
Leading disposal winner for the Tigers on the ground so far. 11 disposals in this opening term, and can now add a goal to his game. Great start to his 300th from Trent Cotchin.
He would have used up so much energy before the game with all the requests for tickets and all that sort of stuff. So 11 touches and a goal, great start.
From the middle, ball spills away of Crouch. He couldn't collect. Now Graham picks it up, gives to Martin, and hand passes to Taranto. Sweeping hand pass looking for Cochin's ill-directed. It's picked off by Sinclair of St Kilda, who whacks it inside 50. Gresham on the lead, marks 50 out. Wants to move it quickly, kicks it into the pocket, looking for King. From position, Bolter, well done. It takes the juggling intercept mark in the right back pocket. Kicks across the face of goal to Broad.
Takes the mark in the left back pocket. He can work it over the top, and Jaden Short marks. Richmond 3-3-21, trailing St Kilda 5 straight 30. Looks up towards McIntosh. Has to get it over the hands of Burns. Trying to bring it down for the Saints. Owens couldn't be tackled when he didn't have it. They had the numbers though. Phillippo with a hand pass over the top to Battle, who's pushed forward. Long King looking for King. He's outnumbered 2-on-1. Grimes got hands to it. Hand pass to Bolter, his direct opponent. Links up with Dustin Martin by hand. He looks up to the southern wing. Puts it out in front for the foot race for Judson Clark. Wanganeen Miller races after him as well. Clark gets there first. Veers back onto his left. Up towards Baker. Juggles the mark with Sinclair in front of him. He's just inside 50 out to the right. And Baker probably thinks he can get the journey. He looks into the pocket. Ryan's on offer. He feeds the hand pass back to Jaden Short. Wanganeen Miller came charging at him. Not enough to stop the goal. Jaden Short with 2 goals from outside 50 in the opening term. Let's do it from long range. And the Saints lead all of a sudden has cut back to 3 as the Tigers keep the last 2 goals of the match. 4 of the last 5. And it's 4-3-27 Richmond to the Saints 5 straight 30. Adam Romanaskas and Brett Harvey with you on ABC Sport.
I just don't know who Jaden Short's opponent is. So Baker was never confident there of going the distance, and it was either going to be a short kick inside 50 or a handball around the back. It was a handball around the back to Jaden Short, but he didn't have an opponent with him.
That's twice now, though,
You've got to be aware, Boomer.
That's twice that Shaw's kicked goals outside 50. We called it the first time that they should be aware of it. Well, once it happens once, it should never, ever happen twice, and he's done it twice. He's going to Higgins now, but I don't know if that was his direct opponent earlier.
St Kilda got out to a 23-point lead earlier in this quarter, and now the margin's back to 3 from the restart. Prestia jams it on the boot towards half forward. Judson Clark marks. It's 2 kicks from goal. We'll wheel in board and send it long to the top of the goal square. The 2 tall timbers are there, Ryan and Miller. It's knocked away from them. Bolton tracking it towards the line. Can't keep it alive. Ball in 20 metres around from the Tigers' goal. They've kicked 4 of the last 5 goals of the game. Trails St Kilda by 3 deep into the first.
Inside 50s, 14 apiece. Saints dominated early proceedings. Richmond finding their way back. Thrown back in. Marshall and Nankervis. Nankervis trying to knock it down to Bolton, but Webster slides in front. Shea Bolton lays the tackle. Spills the way of Baker. His kick is smothered. Taranto tries to slide in. Somehow got it to his boot, but it's offline to the right. Through from Iona score. The Saints lead by 2 points. 31 minutes gone. Opening term on ABC Sport.
It's what I love about our game. People think you have to be big and strong to kick long distance. Jaden Short is definitely not that. It's all about timing. How it hits your boot, how quickly you can swing the leg through.
He's got a career as a punter if he wants.
No doubt.
Sinclair from the kick in for the Saints. Kicks it long to the members' wing to a big pack. It's off hands. Morris Rioli tracking it. Hand passes to McIntosh. Had a fumble. Can't keep it alive. It goes out of play. 50 around from Richmond's goal. In towards the punt road end of the MCG this evening. Deep into the opening term. It's been a goal fest in this opening quarter. 9 goals between the 2 sides. St Kilda hold the lead by 2 points. Umpire spins the ball back into play. Marshall palms it down to Burns, who jams it on the boot down the line to a 1-on-1. King versus Bolter. No winner. At the fall of the ball is Short, who gives it to Vlostone. His hand pass to Prestia. Has to collect on the half volley. Bombs it inside forward 50 over the head of Bolton. Out the back, Saints have the numbers. Crew Howard, he's coughed it up to Miller, to Bolton, who dribbles it towards goal. He's oh so dangerous in that situation, Shea Bolton. He's got 2 in the opening quarter, and Richmond have the lead for the first time. 5-4-34 leads St Kilda 5 straight 30. 32 minutes played in an entertaining first term on Grandstand AFL.
It's quite a remarkable first quarter, Boomer, really. 4 goals to 0 in 12 minutes for St Kilda. And now 5 of the last 6 goals to Richmond to close out this quarter. We've still got a minute remaining in this quarter, but it's really been, I think, Richmond's forward half game. Their forward half turnovers, their pressure, getting the ball back inside forward 50. Only 15 inside 50s for the Tigers for 9 scoring shots. So really good efficiency at the moment.
We didn't expect this, I don't think, coming into the game. A shootout.
Absolutely not.
I wouldn't have been surprised this was the final score.
Isn't that the case? Here's Rowan Marshall in the middle of the ground, trying to dribble it forward. A chance still for Filippo, can't take it cleanly. Taranto's on for the Tigers, hand pass to Baker, links up with Broad, he ran into a dead end, had to give it to Vlosten, quickly throws onto the boot towards half forward. Taranto with his back to the footy, won it against Sinclair and then volleys it inside 50 to Miller, who marks on his chest. Everything's turned into gold for the Tigers in this opening term.
It's the aggressive movement, so they win the ball across half-back and could have stopped. Could have said, you know what, quarter over, let's go to quarter time with the lead. But rather, let's keep putting St Kilda's defence under pressure. Get the ball in there quickly. Give our forwards a chance.
It's going to be after the siren of quarter time. And the footy in the hands of Ben Miller. Pretty much directly in front, 35 metres out. What a finish to the term for the Tigers. Having fallen behind by 24 points after the Saints kicked the opening 4 goals of the match, the Tigers find a way to answer and finish on a real high, with Ben Miller finishing after the siren of quarter time, and the Tigers kicking the last 4 goals of the quarter to take the lead by 10 points. 6-4-40 to the Saints 5 straight 30. I was in the process of about to read out an SMS from Bill on 0437 774 774. 6 first quarter goals, often wins. Saints are on their way. I was thinking, yep, they've kicked 5 goals on a couple of occasions against Port Adelaide earlier in the year against the Bombers, and yet it's the Tigers who lead at the first break by 10 points. What an incredible opening term in which Shea Bolton has 2 goals to Jaden Short, individuals to Cochin and Miller. Meanwhile, for the Saints, 2 to King, individuals to Gresham, Butler and Battle. Opening quarter in the books here at the MCG, and Trent Cotchin's 300th match. Adam Romanascus is going to provide around the grounds from the cricket when day 2 gets underway. Australia are none for 14 after England declared at 8 down for 393. Great to have your company on Grandstand AFL on ABC Radio, ABC Sport Digital, and now streaming on the ABC Listen app.
Gruen is back for a brand new season, analysing advertising, utilising AI, CGI, GPT on your ABC.
What the?
Engaging enhanced Will Anderson technology.
Unsubscribe.
It's the future.
Real intelligence, artificially enhanced.
It's already here.
No actors, AI or actual, were harmed during the making of this promo.
Makes me feel so inhuman.
Gruen, back Wednesday, June 21 on ABC TV and streaming on ABC iView.
Grandstand AFL.
Now streaming every match on the ABC Listen app.
Look for the AFL button.
Bounces at the feet of Martin, who just gets boot to ball, only as far as Marshall of St Kilda. Gives it to Filippo, who then gives it off to Battle from 45 out. A brilliant strike in the footy.
He wants to send it long to the goal mouth. King's there, he flies it, takes the mark, no. Yes, had it long enough. Max King to get on the board and continue the run for the Saints. He steers it straight through. And the Saints are firing.
Howard has a fumble. It spills to Martin. He's square and kicked to the top of the squares. Marked by Bolton. Play on is the call. Not 15. He chucks it on his boot and kicks the goal anyway. Tigers are on the board through Shea Bolton. Rioli 50 metres out. Kicks laterally to Short. A lot of numbers inside forward 50 for the Tigers. Short sports to bomb it long. It might go all the way. That was huge from Jaden Short.
The long kick from Filippo inside 50. And the mark is claimed by Max King. Had to wait till round 10, Max King, but he's back in a big way as he comes in for his second in the opening quarter. Mason Woods clearing kick only as far as Ross inside 50, and Cochin's got it. Trent Cotchin veers out to the right, looking for every millimetre. He strikes it from 49. He's got it! Toast the magical milestone with a goal in the opening term, and they come from everywhere to celebrate.
The 2023 AFL season.
On radio,
ABC Sport Digital.
and now streaming on the ABC Listen app.
Quarter time at the MCG for Saturday night footy. The Tigers leading by 10 points after the Saints kicked the first 4 goals of the match. Richmond with the last 4 of the term. 6 of the last 7 to lead by 10 points. 6-4-40 to the Saints, 5 straight 30. What a quarter. Matt Clinch and Jess Webster calling the action. Lauren Borden down on the boundary. A couple of the best analysts in town to tell you how it all broke down. Brent Harvey and Adam Romanascus.
11 goals, Rama.
Yeah.
And we were, you're right, Jess, we were joking off air saying that St Kilda versus Sydney last week was not a great spectacle for the game of football and people watching at home.
We had 1 goal scored. In
One
that
goal
match in the
scored,
first quarter.
Sydney didn't score. So defensively, St Kilda are the best team in the competition for holding teams to low scores. Well, they've just had, was it 1, 2, 3? Was it 6 goals kicked against them in the first quarter? Did not expect to come to the MCG on a Saturday night and see that from the Tigers. I thought it was a fantastic game. Start to the game, I should say. Cochin, what a start! 1 goal, 11 disposals, and 6 of the last 7 goals. Credit to Richmond because the Saints kicked 4 goals in a row. It looked like it was going to be a whitewash rammer. And credit to Richmond, they kept fighting their way through it. They found little avenues to go and kicked 6 of the last 7. 16 inside 50s, as you mentioned, for 10 scoring shots. Doesn't get much better than that in terms of conversion rate. No,
it was good going in the end by the Tigers. The game sort of started with a lot of turnover from the Tigers, particularly coming out of their back half, and St Kilda were just feasting on it there to start that quarter, and it looked like 4 goals to 0 to start that game, and you sort of thought, "Oh, this could get messy here for the Tigers." But how Richmond changed the game in that first quarter, particularly in the second half of that first quarter, it was around stoppage. That's where they got on top. It was 16-9 in the end, but it was more that stoppage around the ground where they started to win a lot more, take the ball forward, just with little handball, bringing the ball back into the middle of the ground. Rossline will be really disappointed with the defensive effort, particularly with allowing Jaden Short to drift down, kick a couple of goals. But more, I think I mentioned this at the start of the game, Richmond will want to scramble the ball forward. Yep. That last goal by Miller, that was just scramble the ball forward.
That's their surge brand, isn't it, from 2017?
Just give the forwards some sort of chance. You can see Battle, Wilkie, Dougal, Howard, they're all at sea. When the ball's coming in quick, they go, I've got to try and locate my man all of a sudden. When the ball's high and coming in long, it's an easy kill for those guys. So we'll continue to see this by the Tigers. We'll continue to see this surge game. How St Kilda slow the game down now to start this second quarter, I think will be really, really interesting. They want to play the game in their forward half, Boomer, but at the moment, Richmond are taking enough risk to get it out there quick enough.
Yeah, and I haven't seen the zone work super, super well. I was speaking about the width and the length of the MCG, so it'll be interesting to see how they go in the second half. And the telltales whether teams are on or off. I know St Kilda kicked the first 4 goals, but you mentioned it, Rammer. Short kicking those 2 goals outside 50, something that Ross would have addressed at quarter time.
Brad Crouch leads the way with 15 disposal for the Saints. Trent Cotchin in game 300 with 11. Second quarter underway. It's Shea Bolton who eventually gets the clearance of the Tigers. Hand pass to Dan Rioli. Works it to Dawson, almost too slow as Caminiti came charging in. Put him off his kick and he turns it over. Mason Wood takes the mark at centre half back for the Saints. Looks out to right half back. He has Cal Wilkie free.
One thing we didn't mention in that first quarter, both teams handball happy. Virtually going 1 kick, 1 handball in that first quarter.
Wilkie looks long around the southern wing, puts it in the direction of King and Marshall. It spills off hands as Nankervis gave a little shove in there. Bolton gets the hand pass to Dan Rioli, retrieves back, gets the hand pass to Grimes, trying to find an avenue forward. He sends it long down the wing in the direction of Jack Revolt. He's wrestling with Wilkie. A free kick for a hold, and it's going the Tigers' way. Jack will get it. Had a quiet start, just the 1 disposal in that first quarter.
Well, he wasn't really needed in that first quarter. Albeit Richmond with 10 scoring shots, but Jack wasn't needed.
Rewalt from the wing sends it long inside the arc. Back with courage as Sinclair knew the contact was coming and took the intercepting grab.
And this is the interesting part of the game for me. So Richmond have got Nick Vlosten free up one end, so they've been able to manipulate that. St Kilda have Jack Sinclair free now.
Sinclair's turned it over. Broad hand passes to Cotchin and Broad gets it back from the outer wing. Pokes the kick forward looking for McIntosh. It's a good one. Takes the grab. Releases Graham by hand from half forward to full forward. It goes past everyone. Ball trickling towards the line and Dougal Howard happy to see it over. Throw in 10 metres around from Richmond's goal and lead by 10 points early stages second term.
Who do you take, Rammer? Boston or Sinclair as the spare? One's an intercept marker, one's a beautiful ball user.
I think as the game wears on, Sinclair, I think that ball use is going to be more important.
Thrown back in, Tigers in attack, it clears Marshall and Nankervis. Shea Bolton's onto it, trying to break away from Winhager. Hand pass back to McIntosh, top of the 50. Hand pass to Dan Rioli, into the pocket and Cotchin's got it again. Deep in the left forward pocket.
That was so smart by McIntosh because the ball came to him. He knew Rioli was coming around the back, but he drew his player. So that just then allowed Rioli to steady to hit that target of Cotchin inside 50.
Had one in the opening quarter. He'll step out and try and snap across his body. Cotchin from 35. Veers out to the right. Liked at the moment off his boot. doubles up in game 300. And another chance for so many friends and family to turn and celebrate. Haven't they enjoyed one hell of a ride? His mum and dad there in the front row, his wife Brooke, his former coach Damien Hardwick. They're all turning and sharing a smile and a hug. Trent Cotchin with 2 goals. He's averaged 15 disposals, Rama, so far this season. He's up to 13 and 2 goals. He might have more footy still to go.
I was going to ask Boomer, in his many milestone games, were you ever best on ground in a milestone? I know you know this, Boomer, as well.
Yeah, well, I did kick 4 on me 400th summer, but of course, Koch is only playing his 300 tonight, so if he can kick 4, it's not a bad effort.
4? Jeez.
Richmond have now kicked the last 5 goals of the game. It's a goal fest here at the MCG. Back in the middle. Steele feeds it to Marshall. Skies it towards half forward to a one-on-one. Broad with the fist against Gresham. Spills to Taranto. He gives it back to Broad, who's turned it over to Hill. Hand passes to Ross. Sweeping hand pass defensively to Stocker from the wing position. Runs inside the centre square. Kicks a low ball into the arc, but it's a turnover. Vlostone takes the intercepting grab, kicks into the centre square. Wanganeen Miller did well to spoil the ball, win it, give it to Gresham, tumbles a kick towards the top of the square. No one there. Bolter collects and kicks it short to Ross.
Ross goes short to Dion Prestia. He takes the mark at right half back. Richmond lead by 16 points, 7-4-46 to the Saints 5 straight 30. Prestia with not much on offer down the members wing. Comes inboard and Vlostone takes the mark. Interestingly, Jaden Short, Rammer, has started this second quarter on the bench. Kicked a career-high 3 goals last week. Has 2 already. Up the wing towards Morris Rioli Jr. He wrestles with Dougal Howard. Spills the way of Bolton. Can't take it. Steal for the Saints. Hand pass out in front of Wanganeen Miller. He socks it forward, but only as far as Tyler Young. Hand pass to Martin. Works it back to Vloston. Trying to find an avenue forward. Dodges around Caminiti. Sends it up towards Miller. Got rid of Howard. Couldn't take the mark. Cotchin at the back. Hand pass to Rioli. Morris Rioli inside 50. Almost a mark claim. Graham couldn't hang on. It spills the way of Wilkie. Hand pass back to Marshall. All the way back to Wood under enormous pressure. Kicks a relieving kick, but straight to Nankervis. And the Tigers co-captain takes the mark between wing and half forward.
Yeah, great call.
Kilda.
Great call. Grimes just didn't need to do what he did. He just held him out. Fantastic call by the umpire.
Free kick to Wanganeen Miller. He kicks it towards King, who's marked at half forward. Hand passes to Dan Butler, who can run into an open goal and get one back for the Saints. Breaks a run of 5 in a row to Richmond and draws them back to within 10 points. Richmond 7-4-46 to St Kilda 6 straight 36, 5.5 plays. Second term on Grandstand AFL is light rain, I think, starting to fall here at the MCG. Adam Ramanaskis and Brent Harvey, your experts.
He didn't need to do it. Grimes didn't need to do it. He was just going to mark the ball anyway. I think it was Nankervis maybe?
Yeah.
He was going to mark the ball. Grimes just put his body there and he just shouldn't have done it because it wasn't needed. Great work by Wanganeen Millerilo to find King, and very unselfish King to Butler.
It just shows you how sides can be out when you have a turnover like that. The Saints have players forward.
Can't reset quick enough.
Well, the thing was, all the Richmond players anticipated Nankervis marking that ball and started heading forward. And when it was a turnover, they were 10 metres off where they should have been.
Back to a 10-point margin the Tigers' way. Brad Crouch gets the clearance of the Saints. Kicks inside 50. Grimes in a wrestle. If he hadn't taken the mark, he would have got a free kick, or no, a bolt to the free kick. Grimes' kick is not the best, out to left half back. Prestia has enough time to gather. Hand pass to Dusty Martin. He goes a barrel, a torpedo down the southern wing. Baker couldn't gather. It spills to the back where Marshall of the Saints gets the hand pass to Steele to the run of Hill through the middle of the MCG. Grease Lightning long towards King. Can't pull in the one-handed mark. Owens taps into his own advantage. Can he get a boot to it? He can't. Great work on the last line is sliding in. Here's Tyler Young, who denied Mitch Owens a goal and sees it out of play for a throw-in up against the right behind post. Richmond in attack, leading by 10 points. Saints in attack.
Owens in ruck against Nankervis. Nankervis palms it down. Taranto tracking it to the line. Crouch beats in there, but Taranto tackles him immediately. Close to the line and eventually spills over for a throw-in 40 around from the Saints' goal.
Talking about who would you have spare. Nick Vloston 4 kicks, 2 marks this quarter. Sinclair 1 touch. At the minute, it's working for Richmond and Vloston.
Richmond by 10 points, a goal each to start this second term. Umpire flicks the ball back into play. Nankervis tries to take it out of the ruck, but Owens tackles him immediately. And it's going to be a ball up inside 50 for the Saints.
Tossed in the air. Nankervis and Owens in a tangle. It spills down towards Crouch. Mason Woods in there. Hand pass turned over. Short with a clearing kick for the Tigers. Up to the wing. Underneath it. Battle couldn't take the mark. He wrestles with Judson Clark. Spills out to Sinclair. Kicks the Saints back towards the 50. Butler trying to wrestle it against Short. Can't gather. Taranto gets the hand pass. Back to McIntosh of the Tigers. He blazes back up the wing. Clark flies. Can't take it for the Tigers. Onto it Mason Wood. Run down as he got a kick away. Inside 50. Filippo couldn't mark. Onto it King. Dribbles it towards the goal mouth. It rolls across the face and through for a minor score on the left-hand side. Almost an impossible goal. Dylan Grimes was racing after it. Relieved to see it didn't go through the major opening. Richmond by 9 points. Lauren Borden, is that where the weather coming? Sorry.
Yeah, it is. That light rain that Jess mentioned a little while ago, it's starting to get stronger and heavier down here, so I don't think this goal fest will continue for much longer.
Thoughts and prayers are with you, Loz. The radar doesn't look too flash. Meanwhile, the Tigers work it to the wing. Off hands, Burns picks it up for the Saints. Gives it to Webster, who jams it on the boot towards half forward. It's off hands. Butler in a tackle. Tackles. Tigers play to the ground, and we've got a ball up at left half forward for St Kilda. Marshall and Nankervis tangle in ruck. Martin slaps it forward, only as far as Ross, who squeezes a kick, not the required distance. Baker underneath it has to play on. Hand passes defensively to Dusty Martin. Kicks a long ball to the wing. Getting in front position was Howard. He couldn't complete the mark. Ball alive on the members' wing. Bolton has a go. Graham feeds it out to Taranto. He's tackled immediately by a couple of Saints. Ball is locked up on the members' wing. Richmond by 9.
Who does the weather help, Ramo? If it starts raining a little bit heavier?
Tight.
Nankervis wins down the tap. Martin's hand pass inboard to Dan Rioli. Tried to fend off the tackler, unsuccessful. A good chase from Filippo. Got good support from Burns, and the Saints take it back in the middle of the MCG. Goes short to Hill. Spots a free player in Marshall free. Just between the centre circles and centre half forward. He looks for options, and Seb Ross is still on his own at right half forward. Pokes the kick in that direction. He's 65 metres out from home though. Looking inside a congested forward 50. Beers out to the left. He shanked it. Didn't get purchase on it. It may work. Marshall juggles the mark. Had a mismatch on Morris Rioli Jr. And sometimes
luck's a fortune.
Luck is a fortune. Thank you, Rama.
Yeah, just how it works out sometimes in football. It was a shank, terrible kick by Seb Ross, but St Kilda's tallest player just happened to be where the ball was going and took a pretty simple mark in the end.
Little wry smile from Ross Lyon. Happy with the mark. Not as impressed by the kick and roll. Marshall with a chance to pull it back to a 3-point ball game. Directly in front, 45 metres out. The kick is offline to the right. Through for a minor score. Tigers lead is 8 points. At the 11-minute mark of the second term, around the grounds, day 2 of the Ashes. Adam Romanaskas.
We're just underway, so I think we're into about the third over of the day. We haven't added to the score yet, still none for 14.
Beautiful.
Meanwhile, the MCG, Vlostone with a kick in duties for the Tigers. Sends it long to the members' wing, off hands. Prestia read at best. Screws the kick around the corner. Sitting underneath it for St Kilda is Marshall. Right in front of the interchange gates. Light rain falling here at the G. Chips in board to Webster. Saints trail Richmond by 8. Goal apiece in the second term. Webster short, just 15 to Stocko. Is marked on the logo members' wing and kicks it back to centre half forward. Battle drops the mark. Now he's in a tangle with Rewald, who tries to soccer it off the deck. It spills to Martin inside the centre square. Gets on the left, pokes the kick, looking for McIntosh. Wood with the timely fist. Ball alive inside the Tigers forward 50. Wanganeen Miller are trying to find some space. Scrubs the kick forward. It's picked up by McIntosh. Feeds Martin by hand from 50 out. Bombs it towards goal and slams it into the woodwork. Richmond's lead is now 9 points. 7-5-47 to the Saints. 6-2-38. 12.5 played second term on Grandstand AFL.
Yeah, you know, when rain's coming down, you don't want to be fancy. Sometimes just got to get the ball out of the zone. St Kilda there wanted to be a little bit fancy with their with ball in hand.
Wanganeen Miller up brings the Saints back into play. Works it short to Howard and then up to Webster. Kicks into the middle of the ground. Caminiti made contact. We've lost it. Wasn't high in the eyes of the umpire. Taranto's hand pass turned over. Winhager trying to get it to Seb Ross. He picks it up off the ground. Feeds the hand pass away to Filippo. High kick inside 50. Front and centre Higgins as Caminiti brought it down. Higgins tackled by Vlosten. Didn't have the footy. Ross with a hand pass to Bolter. A clearing kick towards centre half back. Got a touch on it on the way through. Ross is over the footy. Careful not to make front on contact is Jack Ross. It spills the way of Filippo and eventually out of play. A throw in at left half forward for the Saints. Richmond by 9 points. But inside 50s in this quarter. Saints have wrestled it back 10-4.
Richmond by 10 at quarter time, and it was a very entertaining first quarter. Goals have dried up so far here in the second. Ball back into play. Goes past both ruckmen. Hill out the back. His hand pass picked off by Prestia, who taps it to his own advantage. And a nice hand pass to Baker from the wing. Bullets a pass to Martin on the lead at right half forward. 60 out, 10 metres in from the boundary. He'll square the kick towards the top of the goal square. McIntosh from the side. Through his fingertips. Coming charging through is Wood for St Kilda. Caught high, free kick.
He takes it 35 metres out from his defensive goal to City end. Spots Filippo. He's free and right. Marks at right half back. Tigers fans not all that impressed as they work it forward to Jimmy Webster as the rain continues to fall at the MCG. Richmond by 9 points, 7-5-47 to the Saints 6-2-38.
Well, I don't think they're impressed because Mason Wood done exactly what everybody else does and just leapt into the tackle, got it too high, and the people that get their head ripped off don't get a free kick at all.
Kick up the southern wing. Younger at a best for the Tigers. Works it forward to Clark. Feeds the hand pass to Jaden Short. Hit the break and tries to cut around Burns. Sends it long inside 50 over the head of Miller, who turned his back to the footy in the end. Battle spoils it down. Howard gathers. Hand pass to Wilkie. Chips it out to Wanganeen Miller. He's in the left back pocket. Pokes it over the top to his good mate Hill, who gives it back to Wanganeen Miller. At left half back. Squeezes a kick forward to Higgins, who's running hard. He marks at left half back for the Saints.
Yeah, he uses the ball well, Wanganeen Miller.
We continue further down the line. The kick looking for King, but Bolter read it best. Takes the intercepting grab, chips in board, looking for Prestia, knocked away from him. Bolter comes charging through, stripped to the footy, holding the ball. Great tackle from King. He'll take the free kick between wing and half forward for St Kilda. Kicking towards the punt road end of the MCG. King bangs it long to the top of the goal square off hands. Caminiti out the back, just needs to get boots of ball and does. 2 in a row to St Kilda and the margin's back to 3 points. Richmond 7-5-47 to the Saints 7-2-44. 16 minutes played, second term on Grandson AFL. Adam Ramanauskas and Brent Harvey.
I was about to sing the praises of Noah Bolter there, who he beat Max King in that marking contest, but then got the ball back and tried to charge through 3 St Kilda players. So I'm not sure what he was thinking there, Boomer.
Well, you said in this weather, and the rain's still coming down quite heavily now, in this weather, you've got to keep it a little bit more simple. Noah Bolter did a fantastic job to intercept Mark, but then tries to hit off a 45 in between 2 Saints players. Has probably got to go down the line a little bit more in this weather. And you said he gets a second chance, but his strength wasn't good enough to barge through 3 players.
And just play the basics now for this quarter. Let the rain settle.
Back in the middle, Ray Chamberlain, the non-officiating umpires, picked out a free kick and it's going Trent Cotchin's way for a hold against Gresham. Back to a 3-point ball game Richmond's way. Cotchin sends it as long as he can inside 50. Samson Ryan came charging out, couldn't take the chest mark. Spills to the back, Howard gathers, cuts past Morris Rioli Jr. as Baker's slow to rise. The hand pass to Wanganeen Miller. His kick is turned over and Cotchin takes the intercepting mark.
They're very slow to get up, Samson Ryan.
To the left of the centre circles as Cotchin in game 300 goes short to Noah Bolter. He showed his best and worst a few moments ago. Sends it long inside 50 to the pocket. Miller left it for Revolt. Can't take the mark. He's in a tight battle with Jimmy Webster and it goes off hands and across the boundary line. Throw in at the City end. Tigers in attack, leading by 3 points.
Matt Clinch and Jess Webster calling the action this evening. Adam Ramanauskas and Brent Harvey are experts, and Lauren Borden's on the boundary. Ball back into play inside 50 for the Tigers. Nankervis gets boot to ball, smothered by Owens, who runs headfirst into a tackle, no free kick. Ball spills loose. Ryan at the top of the square, tackled. No free kick. Ball up 15 metres out from Richmond's goal. Owens rises high and ruck. Gets out the back. Howard couldn't take it cleanly. Crouch has a go for St Kilda, but he's turned it over to Baker, who hand passes to Bolton, tries the impossible from the pocket and misses to the near side for a minor. Richmond by 4 points, 7-6-48 to St Kilda, 7-2-44. 18 played, second term, Grandstand AFL.
Well, after 11 goals in the first quarter, Ramo, we've only got the 3.
Yeah, just slowed down a little bit
with 7 minutes to go.
Richmond hadn't hit their straps by this time in the first quarter. Zwankane Miller brings it into the right back pocket to Jimmy Webster, gives it back to him, kicks over the head of Steele, and the intercepting mark is taken by Jack Graham. Tigers have it at left half forward, leading by 4 points. Beers out to the right, sends it long towards Samson Ryan, and Jack Revolt in from the side. Wood got a fist to it, to the goal square, and soccer through by McIntosh. A bit of a defensive lapse from the Saints, trying to punch it defensively towards the goal line, and McIntosh was awake to it and was able to finish the job off. Richmond extend their lead to a 10-point margin. 8-6-54 to the Saints, 7-2-44. 19 minutes gone, second term on ABC Sport. Adam Ramanaskas and Brent Harvey.
Boom, just on that one. So McIntosh, in the first quarter, we saw Jack Ross drift down. It took a mark, missed the goal. That occasion, it's McIntosh who drifts down from his wing with no direct opponent again.
Yep. Well, that's the advantage from putting that ball. A lot of players would have kicked that ball directly into the square. Gives the defensive team an opportunity to punch the ball through. Absolutely hate that kick. That ball goes about 13, 14 metres out from goal. The St Kilda players still try to punch the ball through, but McIntosh, playing his role on that wing, gets down and gets a nice little goal.
From the restart, Cochin wins the clearance from Richmond, bangs it long inside the arc. Wilkie underneath it, dropped the mark. It spills to Webster, who hacks it out of the danger zone towards the wing. Steele has some work to do to keep it alive. He does. Hand passes backwards to Hill from left half back. The 45 kick is turned over. Morris Rioli's marked, 2 kicks from goal. Chips in board. Cochin's marked. He squares it to centre half forward to Jack Graham, who's marked 51 metres out.
And Jaden Short was actually coming. He nearly got that again. He was thinking about it, I reckon, giving that off.
I think he's still asking.
I would be. Kicking a mile.
Graham from the centre square lets it fly towards goal. Looks pretty good off the boot. It's going to drop just short. Ball still alive. Rioli picks it up, snaps it towards goal, but it's across the face for a minor.
Let's be honest, Boomer. You used to ask for the ball 80 metres out.
Yeah, well, you make a good point there, Emma. I won't lie. I can't say no.
Richmond by 11, 8-7-55 to 7-2-44.
When you're kicking 4 in your milestone, mate, games, you deserve the footy.
I agree with you, Clincher. You're a smart man.
Oh no, a turnover, and Baker's onto it. A horrible kick from Carl Wilkie, so uncharacteristic. He's appealing that Baker overstepped the mark. It doesn't matter as he dribbles it through for a goal. The Tigers stretch it out to a 17-point advantage. Biggest lead of the match so far for Richmond. After the Saints got out by 24 points with the opening 4 goals of the match. A bad error, and Ross Lyon just throws his head back with his hands behind it. The Tigers 9-7-61 to the Saints 7-2-44. They've given up a couple of uncharacteristic goals, the Saints, it must be said.
Well, I think I'll mention this a lot during this game. St Kilda are getting caught out in their defence because Richmond are moving the ball quicker. And they're not worried. They take a mark at 70 or 80 metres. They want to roll off. They want to get in. Okay, on that occasion, it's a simple turnover and Baker kicks the goal. But St Kilda's defence is just not settled in this game.
Out of the middle, the Saints win it through. Windhager and Philippo's take the mark at centre-half forward.
And it is, down.
We'll get done alone in a minute because everyone's running for cover. Filippo from centre-half forward thumps it towards the goal line to a big pack. It's off hands. Gresham in the pocket. Hand passes to Butler, close up against the line. Now it's over and out. Umpire says throw it in 20 metres around from the Saints goal. Lauren Borden on the boundary. How are you going?
Oh, I'm still here. It's absolutely bucketing down. Anyone who can move has moved undercover. Even the medicos have gone under into some shelter, and it's also quite windy down here, so it's blowing towards the city end as well. So it's not the greatest conditions at the moment.
Not you, Loz. You're tough as nails. I had the binoculars on you. You haven't moved an inch. Spills the way of Windhager. He squeezes the kick straight towards the boundary line. Umpire says throw it in.
Loz would have that old school ABC dry as a bone on, no doubt.
That's been there for as long as you've been doing commentary games on the ABC, which is a while.
Correct.
Tigers by 17 points. Thrown back into play. Nankervis and Owens. Volleyed out of the air by Shea Bolton. That was clever. Gets it to half-back. Sinclair in a wrestle with Baker. Couldn't take the mark. Spills off Wanganeen Millerer. Revolt couldn't get a boot to it. Baker could. Socket it into the direction of Gresham. Trying to charge his way through. He was taken high. The Saints get it a left half forward through Jake Gresham. If he can move it quickly, he's got one-on-ones inside 50. Now the numbers getting back. Puts it long towards Max King. Sets himself in front. Was Young. He spoils it down. Filippo becomes the tackler. And the ball locked 35 metres out from the Saints' goal. But Jaden Short, the player, on the very bottom of the pack. Richmond by 17, and the rain getting as heavy as it's been all night.
Owens in ruck, wins it against Nankervis. Not easy to do. Whistle on play. Free kicks at Kilda. Higgins.
It's against Dylan Grimes. He's made some interesting decisions, Dylan Grimes, in this first half. So we know Jack Higgins is a little pest. That's how he plays the game, and that's how he's been so successful. So, yep, he might have milked that a little bit, but the free kick was absolutely there. Grimes bumped him, got him too high, whatever you want to call it, in that contest.
A childhood Saints fan in game number 50. Jack Higgins has kicked a goal, and he gives the Tigers something to think about as well. A bit of push and shove off the ball. It's a much-needed goal, it must be said, for St Kilda. Brings them back to 11 points as we tick down towards half-time. Richmond 9-7-61 to St Kilda 8-2-50. 25 played, second term on Grandstand AFL.
Yeah, you mentioned a much-needed goal for the Saints. It's 3 goals apiece in the quarter, and if you didn't know that, you wouldn't. It doesn't feel like that. It feels like Richmond are all over them at the minute. So St Kilda have actually held up okay in this quarter for not having a lot of the football. I'm just trying to look at the inside 50s for the quarter. 13-11 in St Kilda's way, which is quite surprising, to be honest with you.
Former Tiger Jack Higgins alongside Dan Butler playing against their former team. Richmond hold an 11-point advantage. Umpires are throwing it up for the rest of the night with the rain belting down. Nankervis wins down the tap. Sinclair tried to sock it off the ground, missed it. Steals hand pass straight to Graham of the Tigers. Kicks it out in front of Judson Clark. Left forward pocket. Gathers, swings onto his left and misses everything. Out of bounds on the full with the greasy footy. Unable to control it. And a golden opportunity which they could have made. The Saints pay Richmond by 11 points.
I'm always impressed with the fans who stay out in the rain, even like without ponchos, without jackets. Only in Melbourne, I reckon.
Cal Wilkie's taking no risk this time. Kicks it as far as he can to half back. Spills to the front where Brad Hill gathers and he steps over the boundary line.
If the rain was warm like a shower, no worries. But it's cold rain.
It's actually coming in sideways too. We've got the privilege of looking at the lights, and it's coming in sideways.
I think it's all very unfair. We're talking about this in the comfort of the commentary box while Lauren Borden's down there. She's the only tough one out of us in our ABC Saturday night team.
She still hasn't moved.
Winhager dodges out of traffic for the Saints at half back. Hand pass to Sinclair. Sends it up the wing. Owens trying to juggle the mark. Flying back with the flight. Challenging conditions now. Crouch with the hand pass to Gresham. Kicks towards half forward. Broad tried to use his body to block it. He missed it. And Butler's onto it. Runs into the right forward pocket. Centering kick towards Wood. McIntosh flies over the top. Spoils it down. Spills to Short. He kicks a barreling kick towards the middle of the ground. Prestia can't gather. Clears towards centre half forward. It may still work. Miller. Hand pass out to Ryan. At 50, vacant goalmouth, kicks a high kick out to the right. It won't be a score, it'll be out of bounds on the full. And a St Kilda free kick in the left back pocket. Tigers by 11 points, and it must be said, some challenging conditions for both sides.
You had to contend with a flock of seagulls as well, Ryan, as well as the teeming rain. And St Kilda chip it around the back 50. And Winhager is marked. And kick it out to the southern wing. Goes over the head of Filippo, who gets a free kick for a shove in the contest. Richmond by 11, close to half-time. Filippo wheels in board, kicks St Kilda towards half-forward over the head of Owens, and taking the grab is Tyler Young for Richmond.
The seagulls are everywhere.
I can't understand the seagull. I am a Queenslander, and it's just, I think, the most bizarre thing I've ever seen at the footy. I just don't understand what they're doing.
Umpire waited for a few moments and the ball eventually came clear. Jaden Short kicks Richmond inside 50. Dougal Howard spoiled it down against Dustin Martin. Webster onto it. Hand pass away to Hill for the Saints. Kicks up towards the wing. Going back with a flight. Almost able to juggle the mark. Winhager spills off hands to Owens. It's a slippery footy. He can't duck the tackle of Shea Bolton. Holding the footy. Ross takes the advantage. Kicks inside 50. Samson Ryan one-on-one. It spills to the back. Howard will get back there first. Hand pass around the boundary line back to Cal Wilkie with a clearing kick towards half-back. The defenders are well set. Nankervis knocks it down. Back towards the top of the 50. Ross with a hand pass to Martin. 55 metres out to the teeth of goal. And Dougal Howard hugs the mark to his chest. 25 metres out from his defensive goal at the city end. Richmond by 11 points.
Chips it short to Webster. He decides to kick it laterally. Back to Wilkie. Still inside defensive 50 to Saints. He'll wind up and send it as far as he can down the southern wing to a contest. Reaching up high and willing in the grab is Caminiti. Really well in these conditions. Right on halfway. In the southern wing. Send it long towards half forward. Filippo with a bit of a rise out the back, but it spills the Tigers' way. Short. Back to Vlostone, who hacks it down the line. Young with the fist. Spills to Howard of the Saints. His hand pass missed. Webster allows a chance for the Tigers. Bolton collects. Kicks inside forward 50 to the right of Miller, who gets on the right and snaps towards goal. A brilliant effort in the teeming rain at the MCG. Richmond restore a 17-point advantage close to half-time. 10-7-67 to St Kilda, 8-2-50. 30 minutes played, second term on Grandson AFL. Adam Ramanauskas and Brent Harvey.
Beautiful goal.
Yeah,
beautiful goal by a big fella. That's his second for the night. And he had Dustin Martin in the square. I reckon he looked at him and said, "Not tonight, Dusty. I'm going for it myself." And that was a beautiful finish. But a lot of space out there for the Richmond players. It was off the back of a little turnover, a bit of a turnover by the Saints where they got a little bit of width with the ball, the Tigers. Once they do that, they're going to be hard to stop.
And we lost our first wicket over at the cricket. 1 for 29. David Warner bowled Stuart Broad.
Adam Ramanauskas providing the around the grounds for day 2 of the Ashes. Of course, coverage available on the ABC Listen app. Just look for the designated cricket button. And that'll bring us to half-time. The Tigers with a 17-point advantage. 10-7-67 to St Kilda, 8-2-50. Off the back of a 4-3 second term the way of the Tigers, having led by 10 points at quarter time. 10-7-67 to the Saints, 8-2-50. And that rain is bucketing down. No good for the fans, who no doubt will be keen to make their way into some cover and maybe get some hot food and some cool refreshments to warm them up at the main break. The goal kickers so far in this match for the Tigers: 2 goals to Bolton, 2 to Cochin, 2 to Miller, 2 to Short, individuals to Baker and to McIntosh. Meanwhile for the Saints, 2 to King, 2 to Butler, individuals to Battle, Gresham and Higgins. Half-time at the MCG and Trent Cotchin's 300th match. He's having a game to remember. 19 disposals, leading possession getter with Brad Crouch, a couple of goals, 8 contested possessions and 3 clearances. The thoughts of Adam Ramanauskas and Brent Harvey with you on ABC Sport.
Well, we've just lost our second wicket, and I think it's Marnus Labuschagne for a golden duck. Stuart Broad again. So there are my thoughts.
Was that a golden, was it?
I think that was a golden duck. Yep.
What'd Warner make? 9?
Yep, Warner's made 9.
All right, we got the whiz back in the studio. Andrew Williamson will bring you the highlights on the other side of the news.
He's reached, and it's a good catch by Johnny Bairstow. Low to the right. He's pretty happy with himself with his headband on too, Stuart Broad.
What's the headband for? He's got short hair.
No, it's cover the bald spots at the top. That's what it is.
Pushes the hair up, makes it look a bit more buffonty.
So the 11th over, David Warner out for 9.
Yes, golden duck.
Broad able to get him, and then the next ball, Marnus Labuschagne out for a duck. Australia 2 for 29 in the 11th over, trailing by 364 runs.
So if you look at this first half, I think the clear difference in the game is around clearing, around stoppage. So Richmond are comfortably leading that 26-16. So right at the moment, they're getting first use of the ball. But what they're doing then with the ball, rather than trying to hold it up and go sideways and backwards and inside and outside, they're putting St Kilda's defenders under pressure. 17 scoring shots from their 33 inside 50. So that's going at 50%, just a touch over 50% every time they're going in. They're getting a score. So it's really, really good going for the Tigers. But what I'm liking, Boom, is Richmond's forwards are getting up the ground. So that's allowing space in the forward line. Now, you've mentioned a couple of times where the ball has gone inside Richmond's forward, and it's just been dangerous. It's been dangerous. Their wingers have drifted down. And McIntosh got a goal that quarter. Bolton has got a couple of goals in that first quarter. Cochin's got a couple of goals. Jaden Short's got a couple of goals. So it's not the key forwards that are doing any of the damage. Miller's got 2 goals, but they're not taking taking marks inside 50 necessarily.
Andrea, let's take the hat-trick ball. Australia 2 for 92.
And it's down the next time. That's Steve Smith. Lunges, he raises his bat and allows it to go past him. My word, this is theatre. Yeah, there's a little chuckle there from Stuart Broad. I think he just got a bit excited. He was trying to tail it into the legs and ended up just pushing it. I think it's through the excitement. Started on the wrong line. But either way, everybody right now is either up on their feet or completely engrossed by this moment.
Thank you to Isha Gua. That's our commentary team coming to you from Edgbaston. The first test between Australia and England. It's available on the ABC Listen app. Just click on the designated button. Sorry, Boomer, I just thought we might as well take it, given we're there calling it.
We've got to watch it.
And I think we're all a bit relieved Steve Smith survived with it down leg side.
Yeah, way down leg side too. No, and I totally agree with Rama. I thought Richmond got on top of the game in that clearance, and I posed the question to Rama, who's this conditions with the rain coming down, who's it going to suit more? And straight away you weren't reluctant at all to say Richmond, because they play that surge mentality football. Now, we haven't seen a lot of it tonight, but they've just got the ball in a little bit of space. They've just been cleaner, more cleaner with the Saints. Another good quarter though, 7 goals apiece. I just didn't like, and I mentioned at the very start of the quarter, I don't like when teams give Richmond a spare behind the ball, full stop.
Particularly they've lost it.
Well, when they went on that little period where they just dominated, Geelong did it and Richmond did it. And Vlosten's just going to mark everything. Now, tonight's not a marking condition night, but he still had his 8 possessions, 2 intercept possessions that quarter, and he sets them up. Their offence starts from down back. And he had a great quarter with 8 touches. So I'd just like the Saints to come in and say, no, we're not leaving him free. We're going to man him up and we're going to play 6 forwards ahead of the ball. I think if they do that, they can get themselves back in the contest. But I really hope Ross speaks to them at half-time and says, nah, we've got to play 6 forwards, especially in these conditions.
I just wonder what Ross wants to do here now. The rain looks pretty consistent here at half-time. Does he want to keep the ball in the contest, or does he want to allow it to get onto the outside? I think on the outside in that first half, Richmond were dominant.
Yeah, they looked more dominant.
They were dominant. So allowing the ball to go on the outside allows the quick ball movement, allows the ball going in Richmond's forward line really quickly. But in saying that, Richmond have dominated clearances. They're plus 10 in that area. So you're sort of damned if you do, damned if you don't a little bit here. Now, you either put it on your midfielders and say, hey, we either win this clearance or we lock it in. So I probably tend to think he's going to want the ball to stay in the contest and surge the ball forward their way.
You see the way they play their football, and you mentioned it before. If we could draw a little oval of 60 metres, that was the bubble of where the ball was.
Yep.
And that's when St Kilda are playing their best football. That's why Sydney, the SCG last week, it suits them. Marvel Stadium, it suits them. This here, where they've got to defend a little bit wider. Richmond can get out a little bit wider as well. This is a big ground compared to the SCG, compared to Marvel Stadium. So they've got their work cut out. I'm not sure how many games the Saints, I probably should have done some more research, have played at the MCG, or how many they got going. But I did mention during that quarter that they are the best defensive team in terms of score against in the competition. The MCG is a different kettle of fish. You've got to be able to play a little bit wider.
Well, and you've got to defend side to side.
You do. You can't just defend in width. So, very interesting to see the way this third quarter is going to pan out.
Second game at the MCG for the season.
Not a lot, is it? Round 14.
Just quickly, I would be moving Jack Sinclair up onto the ball in this second half. He's been okay. He's had 16 possessions across half back, but he hasn't been at his dynamic best. I think when St Kilda have pushed him onto the ball in this season. He's been able to create around contests for him.
Well, he's so clean.
Yeah.
And his inside 50s are so much better than a lot of other players. So, a really good point.
Who would you rather be? Trent Cotchin at half-time having kicked 2 goals, or Stuart Broad having got David Warner again?
Cotchin.
You can have a think about it.
Yeah.
Tigers lead by 17 points at half-time. Let's get the latest from the ABC newsroom.
ABC News with David Rowlands. Victorian Senator David Vann has quit the Liberal Party after allegations were made about his conduct. Tom Lowry reports from Parliament House.
Senator Vann has faced multiple allegations of inappropriate behaviour over the past week, which he continues to reject. Acting on the allegations, opposition leader Peter Dutton told Senator Vann he should not sit in the Liberal Party room and suggested he quit Parliament altogether. But until now, he remained a member of the party. In a letter to the party's Victorian division, Senator Vann has quit the Liberal Party, accusing it of disregarding due process and natural justice. But he gave no indication he intends to leave the Parliament.
The Prime Minister says a new $2 billion spend on social housing will help relieve pressure on waiting lists within a few years. The funds will be distributed across states and territories in the coming weeks. The government is currently locked in negotiations with the Greens over the separate Housing Australia Future Fund. Anthony Albanese says there's a clear and urgent need for more homes.
This is money for public housing. What we've seen is a decline by 0.5% in the proportion of homes in Australia that are public housing. We want to turn that around.
The US Secretary of State says Washington has not changed its nuclear posture, despite Russian President Vladimir Putin confirming he sent nuclear weapons to Belarus. The BBC's David Willis reports.
Antony Blinken said the United States was closely monitoring Russian plans to transfer short-range nuclear weapons to Belarus, but added there was nothing to indicate that Vladimir Putin was planning to use such weapons. Earlier this week, Belarus's leader Alexander Lukashenko suggested his country had already received a nuclear weapon from Russia, which he described as 3 times more powerful than the atomic bombs used on Japan during the Second World War. Questioned about that at an economic forum in St. Petersburg, Vladimir Putin said his country could theoretically use such weapons, but added that it didn't need to.
It's not immediately clear if all known victims from a terrorist attack on a school in Uganda are students. Larry Buttrose has more.
Ugandan police say at least 25 people are so far known to have died in the attack on the privately run school near the Congolese border. Authorities say the nighttime assault was carried out by an outfit called the Allied Democratic Forces, aligned with the Islamic State group. Police say the attackers burnt a dormitory and ransacked a food store. At least 8 more victims are known to have been critically injured and perhaps dozens more abducted. Ugandan troops tracked the attackers back into Congolese territory where they came from.
Back home, and counter-protesters have drowned out opposition to a drag storytelling event in Perth. A few dozen protesters gathered outside the Maylands Library, where drag artist Cougar Morrison hosted an event during which she read books to children. The lead-up to the protest prompted a counter-protest of around 200 people. Similar storytelling events were cancelled in recent months by libraries in both Victoria and New South Wales after threats were levied against staff by groups opposed to the events. The ACT government says the construction of a 15-kilometre mountain bike path in Mount Stromlo will boost domestic tourism. The flow path is part of a $2.8 million funding package delivered in partnership with the University of Canberra. ACT Minister for Planning and Land Management, Mick Gentleman, says the path will draw riders from all over the country.
We've upgraded a number of trails across the ACT. The new flow trail down to the Cotter will add to that and draw that tourism attraction, I think, for people right across the ACT and Australia.
Australian duo Minwoo Lee and Cameron Smith have surged into the top 10 at the halfway mark of the US Golf Open in Los Angeles. Lee's 5 under par 65 was the best score of the second round, taking him to -6 overall, four strokes adrift of the outright leader Ricky Fowler of the United States. Smith sits 2 shots further back at 4 under, following a second round of 67. Northern Ireland's Rory McIlroy remains in the hunt for his first major in 9 years, just 2 behind Fowler in a tie for third. And American Caroline Marks has beaten Australia's Tyler Wright in the final of the World Surf League event in El Salvador. In a low-scoring decider, Marks beat Wright by just under 3 points. Wright is second in the season rankings behind Hawaiian Carissa Moore. ABC News.
Ah, you're here for the fortune-telling. Please sit down. You seek enlightenment and entertainment, engagement and excitement via your ears. In your future, I see the ABC Listen app, and I see you joyously grooving to a great range of music, informed and entertained by award-winning podcasts, and connecting to your community and current affairs with live radio. You've heard enough. I don't want your money. The ABC Listen app is as free as knowledge itself. Now go and download the ABC Listen app.
Grandstand AFL.
Now streaming every match on the ABC Listen app.
Look for the AFL button.
Hand pass to Dan Rioli, into the pocket, and Cochin's got it again. Deep in the left forward pocket. He'll step out and try and snap across his body. Cochin from 35, veers out to the right, light at the moment off his boot. Doubles up in game 300.
Free kick to Wanganeen Miller. He kicks it towards King, who's marked at half forward. Hand passes to Dan Butler, who can run into an open goal and get one back for the Saints. Breaks a run of 5 in a row to Richmond.
Sends it long towards Samson Ryan and Jack Rebold in from the side. Wood got a fist to it, to the goal square, and socked through by McIntosh. Oh no, a turnover, and Baker's onto it. A horrible kick from Cal Wilkie, so uncharacteristic. He's appealing that Baker overstepped the mark. It doesn't matter as he dribbles it through for a goal. The Tigers stretch it out to a 17-point advantage.
Owens in ruck, wins it against St. Purvis, not easy to do. Whistle on play, free kicks to Kilda. Higgins, childhood Saints fan in game number 50. Jack Higgins has kicked a goal and he gives the Tigers something to think about as well. A bit of push and shove off the ball. A chance for the Tigers. Bolton collects, kicks inside forward 50 to the right of Miller, who gets on the right and snaps toward goal. A brilliant effort in the teaming rain at the MCG.
The 2023 AFL season.
On radio,
ABC Sport Digital,
and now streaming on the ABC Listen app.
Half-time at the MCG for Saturday night footy. 18 goals in the first half, in which Richmond had kicked 10 of them. They're 10-7-67 to the Saints, 8-2-50 in Trent Cotchin's 300th game. He has 2 goals to the main break as well. The leading possession getter with 19 disposals alongside Brad Crouch for the Saints. Matt Klitsch and Jess Webster calling the action. Lauren Borden's down on the boundary. Adam Romanascus and Brent Harvey are your experts on ABC Sport. We are also keeping you across day 2 of the first test between Australia and England. It's available on the ABC Listen app. Just download that. For most listeners, it'll also be available on digital radio on ABC Sport after the footy and the NRL has completed. Australia at 2-4-37 after a delayed start to day 2. Then all of a sudden Stuart Broad got the ball and picked up the 2 crucial wickets of David Warner out for 9 and Marnus Labuschagne out for a duck. Here it is, called by Ishigua.
Warner, of course, that last Ashes tour, averaging 9 out to Stuart Broad 7 times. Will he have his number again this series? 3 slips in position, a man in catching at short extra, backward point, wideish mid-off, mid-on, mid wicket and a long leg as Broad is in, round the wicket, as that's the slack, he's got him! He's got him! Stuart Broad has Warner again! Inside edge, onto the stumps, trying to slash at the ball. Trying to hit it out to the cover boundary. He talks about being more attacking. And Stuart Broad has his man in the first session here. Australia are 1 down. Broad to Labuschagne, 3 slips in position. Here we go. Broad pushing away. Past the stumps. Labuschagne edges, he's gone! Broad 2 and 2. It's a stunner from Johnny Bairstow. Diving to his right. Broad is racing away. He's running around the ground. Slapping hands with everyone he meets. He's got Marnus Labuschagne, first ball. What are we seeing here?
Ishigua behind the mic. I thought the MCG was loud. Goodness me, they're going nuts at Edgbaston as Stuart Broad was on a hat-trick, but Steve Smith was able to survive the hat-trick ball going down the leg side. So coverage available on the ABC Listen app. Just look for the designated cricket button and you won't miss a minute of the action. Australia 2 for 37 in response after 13 overs. Usman Khawaja is on 21 and Steve Smith is on 4. Funny, it was beautiful yesterday with some sunshine out. All of a sudden it's overcast, and Jimmy Anderson and Stuart Broad, it feels like we've seen this movie once or twice before. There's no shortage of other sporting action taking place across the weekend. You heard in the golf, the US Open, Ricky Fowler leads the American, a great round from Minwoo Lee. So that's something to get up early for tomorrow morning and follow. In the NRL today, wins for the Sydney Roosters over Newcastle, 18 points to 16. The Parramatta Eels are too good for the Manly Sea Eagles, 34 to 4. And in the Saturday night fixture, it's the Melbourne Storm who lead 18 points to 6 against the West Tigers. 56 minutes gone in that match taking place. Don't forget, State of Origin Game 2 is on Wednesday night with Andrew Moore and the crew. It's also available on the ABC Listen app, so it's all there. Just download the app. You can listen to the AFL, you can listen to the NRL, you can also take in the cricket, so all available there on the ABC Listen app. Can't wait for Game 2. Latrell Mitchell out for New South Wales after Queensland won the opening game. And in the Super Netball today, a bit of a fairy tale ending for Collingwood. The Magpies in their last game in the Super Netball, having decided to give back their licence, they prevailed over the West Coast Fever, 65 goals to 62. So no doubt there'll be plenty of excitement there amongst the Collingwood girls as they make their way back from WA. But the disappointment, unfortunately, that they'll need to find an 8th licence in the Super Netball. Adam Romanascus and Brent Harvey, the two sides have made their way back out onto the MCG. The rain is still continuing, so I gather the style of footy we're going to see will be pretty familiar to what we saw in the second quarter. What are you thinking is going to eventuate? Can the Tigers continue on with this momentum, or will the Saints find a way to defensively wrestle back?
Well, I know what won't happen. I don't think we'll see 18 goals in the second half like we did in the first half. And I think Rama called it earlier about just playing that style of football where you can't go inside and take those 45s anymore, because even if they do, it's not going to be clean possession all the time. So I think we're going to see a lot more territory football as the wet weather comes out. All coaches normally say, get the ball on boot, inches count now, and I think we'll see Richmond surge football come to the fore right now, and the Saints are going to have to adapt a little bit as well, because they're under the pump, balls are going inside 50, they're going to have to clear it out and just play some surge football, get the ball going their way, try to get it into Big Maxi King, see if he can kick a wing score for them.
Just be basic, I think. Yeah, particularly just early in this quarter, St Kilda can't concede. They're already, 3 goals behind on the scoreboard, so conceding, for example, the first 2 in this quarter, then it becomes a long way back in wet weather. So just be basic early in this quarter, St Kilda. Lock the ball in, restart stoppage, lock the ball in your forward line.
Double stoppages are fine. You get another stoppage, play the game. Jump on the ball, keep it in. Don't get it out. You don't need to play to the opposition's team's advantage, and that's what Richmond love to do. Get the ball going, kick the ball in the corridor, tap it on.
Saints' accuracy has kept them in this contest, and just looking at the radar, there is more wet weather on the way. Into the second half we go with Jess Webster.
Marshall with a big tap down. Straight down to Windhager, but he's going nowhere. Tackled by Nane Curvis in the middle of the ground, and we'll do it all again. Nane Curvis in the top 10 in the competition for average tackles per game. And another one there. We go again. Bolton has a go. It was quite high, but the umpire said he ducked into it a little bit. Got another stoppage. Might see quite a few of these in the second half. Pouring rain at the MCG. Whistle on play. It's going to be a free kick going St Kilda's way. The advantage won't be paid, so it'll come back to the centre square, and Marcus Windhager can send the Saints into attack for the first time in the second half.
As he looks for options, the footy has to be returned to him. So just waiting for that, and it's a congested forward 50 once it finally does return to him. It's not the best kick, as it might work, though. In the end, it falls short. Up goes Wood with McIntosh. Can't take the mark. Broad with the hand pass away. Little fumble in the end from Young. Cochin tries to knock it on. 1-2 with Taranto, then slipped over. Only squeezed to kick a few metres. Steal for the Saints. Hand pass missed Sinclair. Sliding in is Stocker. He's tackled by Judson Clark. Ball spills away at Brad Crouch. Can't clear the congestion. McIntosh for the Tigers. Hand pass to Taranto. It's a tough, greasy footy in which Taranto eventually emerges with it. Kicks it down the wing. Howard slipped over. Miller kept his feet for the Tigers. Trying to squeeze kick forward. Good recovery from Dougal Howard. He smothers it out of play. Not far from Lauren Borden watching on.
Hugo Ralph Smith is sitting in front of me. He's got his playing jumper on. Richmond haven't subbed anyone off yet, but he's getting ready to come on, Ralph Smith.
They still make screw-ins, Rama?
Yeah, well, I was just thinking that. Not many players request screw-ins these days.
Ball back into play. Martin with the fend off. Hand passes to Bolton, who's stripped of it by Windhager. Umpire says play on the members' wing. The ball ricocheting about. Bolton tries to go off the deck. So does Martin, who kicks it straight into Bolton. He was still on the ground. Filippo has a go. Hand passes into space to Crouch, who gets boot to ball and sends St Kilda up towards half forward. King sitting underneath it. Couldn't take the mark, and now it spills the Tigers' way. Prestia from centre half back. Hand passes to Taranto. Jams it on the boot and tumbles the kick towards half forward to Rewalt in a one-on-one against Wilkie. Rewalt wins. Gives it to Dan Rioli, who kicks into the pocket. Howard's first there for St Kilda. Hand passes to Wangani Miller, who had a fumble, is picked up by Graham, who gets on the left boot towards the top of the goal square. A timely fist came from Stocker, who sent it through for a minus score. The first of this second half increases Richmond's lead to 18 points, 10-8-67 to St Kilda. 8-2-50. We've played nearly 3 minutes.
You can see in the first 3 minutes of this how sloppy the football is already. So a lot of fumbling balls, people trying to kick the ball off the ground. It's going to be like that for the rest of the game, I think.
Jack Sinclair brings the Saints back into play. Down low, Cochin couldn't take the mark. It spills to Steele. Kick smothered by Grimes. Ricochets out to Brad Crouch. Hard against the boundary. Was taken high by Cochin. And the free kick going the way of the Saints at right half back. Just saw a shot on our in-commentary box monitor of Samson Ryan down in the rooms with his jumper off. So interesting as to whether he comes back or he's the sub, which will be taking place. I'll head down to Lauren as soon as we have some news. Kick down the wing. Grimes slides in, knocks it to Taranto. Out pass to McIntosh. He's pushed over the boundary line by Mason Wood and a throw in. In front of the two benches, Richmond 10-8-68. The Saints 8-2-50. Through 3 minutes in the third term on ABC Sport.
Throw in on the commentary wing. And Curvis against Marshall. Bolton hacks it out of the air, tumbles it towards half forward. Battles there to intercept for the Saints. Sends it back to where it came, to a contest off hands. Owens fighting for it, so is Caminiti rather, sliding into the pack. Can't collect. Ball is locked up on the logo. Richmond by 18 points. They led by 10 at quarter time, at 17 at the half. Ross gives it to Filippo, has a fumble. Wood has a go, tackled by Prestia. We'll do it all again on the members' wing. Let's head downstairs to Lauren Borden.
Spot on clinch hit. Samson Ryan, who's been subbed off, he landed awkwardly in the forward 50 in the second quarter, and he's an ankle issue that's keeping him out of the game.
Thanks, Lauren. Mason Wood for the Saints, kicks towards half forward. Gresham gathers off hands, bombs it in long. Vlosten read at best.
Got to be better, St Kilda. That can't be allowed. Like Vlosten standing there by himself. You know, in these conditions, you need to even the numbers up all over the ground.
Slid in front of Max King, goes short to Bolter, sends it up to the wing, over the head of Judson Clark, spills to the back. Revolt tries to sock it off the ground, and ricochets off Cal Wilkie. It's above the knee, not below, as Dustin Martin has the arms outstretched, wanting out on the full.
It's no point having an extra at the contest here, because you've got to rely on okay players and slippery balls on the ground. You win your one-on-one contest around the contest, but it's behind the ball. You can't allow intercept marks now.
Adam Ramanauskas with you on ABC Sport. Nankervis one down the tap, straight to Seb Ross.
Boomer mentioned about the territory game. So that mark there that Vlosten takes, that needs to come to ground. That needs to be a stoppage inside St Kilda's forward 50.
Filippo was locked up. Nankervis knocks it forward to Shea Bolton. Hand pass to Taranto. Jammed it on his boot, but couldn't control it as it goes out on the full, just on the defensive 50 for the Saints. Tigers leading by 18 points.
And the problem is, if you take the extra at the contest now, there's no real advantage because there's no clean ball, so you don't get it to the quarterback, and he can set the play up from there.
To a pack on the wing, off hands, Bolton collects, hand passes over his head, close to the line. Taranto can't keep it alive and will have a ball in.
And the reality of that, if you can't square your contest with a player in these conditions, you shouldn't be playing. Like,
correct.
You don't need an extra at the contest. Like Mason Wood now standing by himself, and Nick Vlosten is standing by himself in St Kilda's forward line.
Throwing in front of the benches, Nankervis with the fist. Goes back out of play again. Taranto up to 21 disposals and 5 clearances for the Tigers. Martin up to 20 as well, as Cochin has got 2 goals, and for St Kilda, Crouch is up to 22 disposals and 3 tackles. Sinclair the next best with 17.
Failed to mention also at halftime the Giants with a 70-point win. A big result in the end over the Fremantle Dockers, as Richmond trying to surge forward, and Liam Baker sliding on his knees. He's able to get up before he hit the synthetic turf, and a boundary throw.
Very smart. And the other thing too, remember, it becomes a little bit deflating. So if you work so hard to win the ball here, you get a couple of clean possessions, you kick it in, Floston takes his second mark within a couple of minutes, you look up and go, boys, what's going on there? But you've got the extra at the stoppage where you probably don't need it in tonight's conditions.
Giants up to 11th position with back-to-back wins. Sinclair trying to gather it right half back for the Saints, knocks it forward straight off the boot of Dustin Martin and rolls out of play for a throw-in. So in tough driving rain, it's going to be a territory battle as much as anything else, and who can take their opportunities when they're able to get space inside 50. A throw-in in front of the two benches below our commentary position. Nankervis up against Marshall. Nankervis won it down. Sinclair trying to sidestep Big Nank. Squeeze the kick up the members wing. McIntosh in front of Filippo. Little fumble. Knocks it forward on in front of Taranto. That won't be insufficient intent. On other nights it might be, but not tonight.
So we're 7 minutes into this quarter. The ball is now sat in front of us here, basically on the wing for the last 4 minutes.
We were spoilt with 18 goals between these two sides in the first half before the rain hit. To find one in this third term from the ball in. Martin soccers off the deck. Morris Rioli will come out to meet it between wing and half forward. Can't collect. Prestia soccers off the deck towards half forward. It's off hands. Baker with the hand pass over his head. It ricochets off the boot of Bolton. And Wilkie is there for the Saints to hack it inside the centre square. Now they all chase after it. Broad's going to be first there for Richmond in pouring rain. And he tries to paddle it to his own advantage. Hill is also there for St Kilda, tries to keep it alive with the hand pass looking for Burns. It's a free kick. Initially the umpire said Richmond's way, but it is in fact St Kilda's way, I think, for a push against Brad Hill. He's got the ball on centre wing, out of side.
Yeah, push in the back against Nick Gloston. So Hill sends it long towards half forward. Filippo's in the pack, trying to rise over the top of Gloston. Spills the way of Grimes. Hand pass to Taranto. Free kick going Richmond's way. Contact below the knees, I think, and Grimes is going to take it. There's going to be a blood rule as well. As Ray Chamberlain comes over and tells Dylan Grimes he's going to have to leave the field. I assume it's him. In fact, it's Trent Cotchin, so he's just having a conversation with Dylan Grimes. Toby Nankervis, third time lucky. He's the one slowly making his way to the bench.
But the other thing with that spare, so Richmond is setting up for Floston to be the spare. Why wouldn't you just... Who's down there? I think it's Tyler Young. If you're going to set up, just one of the St Kilda players go to Floston and let Tyler Young be the spare. He's got nowhere near the experience that Floston's got.
And as Lauren Borden told us, Hugo Ralphsmith's into the action, gets his first opportunity into the game for Samson Ryan. The Saints take it back on the wing. Seb Ross on the southern side. Long kick inside 50. Higgins one-on-one with McIntosh. The reinforcements get back as McIntosh spoils it down to Bolter. Kick looking for Baker. Well done by Sinclair. Socket forward. Inside 50 from Dougal Howard. Mason Wood unable to take it. He's now 60 out. Gets a hand pass inside 50. Racing after it. It's knocked forward by Floston into the pocket. Bolter tried to fend off Higgins. It spills off McIntosh's hands. And out of play. 45 metres out from the St Kilda goals. Richmond by 18 points. It almost feels like a bit of a soccer game at the moment. Who's going to score first?
That rain is showing no signs of slowing down. Ball back into play. Half forward for St Kilda. Spills to Bolton. Tackled into the turf by Windhager. Umpire says I'll have it. 50 out from St Kilda's goal. Kicking towards the city end of the MCG this quarter. They trail Richmond by 18 points. Owens in ruck against Miller. He palms it down. Burns overran it. Picked up by McIntosh of Richmond. Here's a hand pass looking for Prestia, who had a fumble. Now it's picked up by Filippo of St Kilda. Hand passes to Windhager from right half forward. Kicks to the top of the square. Caminiti in a one-on-one. Couldn't complete the mark. Higgins front and centre. His hand pass is a turnover. Young for the Tigers. Just jams it on the boot towards the boundary line. I think it's out on the full... just pitches inside the field of play. Umpire says throw it in, giving him the benefit of the doubt, but that ball went straight for the boundary line.
Why did you say the umpire gave him the benefit of the doubt? That doesn't happen anymore, does it? I thought that was a certainty. It wasn't deliberate, but I thought it was going to be a certainty.
Yes, insufficient intent is the ruling, but never mind, we move on.
Thrown back in. Windhager just hesitated as he was trying to work out whether to have the shot on goal, give the hand pass. Ross gives the hand pass to Filippo. He doesn't hesitate. Into the right forward pocket, it's offline and bounces out of play in front of Max King alongside Young and Noah Bolter, and a boundary throw in the left forward pocket for the Saints.
I reckon I seen a deliberate out of bounds last night. One of the Port players kicked it and hit his teammate's back. And ricocheted went out of bounds and they called it deliberate.
Yeah. Normally they're not very forgiving, but on a night like tonight, maybe they are a little bit. Vlauston puts his head down, tries to charge his way through. There's no avenue forward, and the umpire will ball it up.
It won't be long before it's just last touch rule.
100%. Totally agree.
I think
in the next couple of years.
through the middle of the ground, not inside the 50-metre arc.
Yes, between the arcs. Yeah.
Like they have in the AFLW and the Sandford. Hill got the hand pass. There wasn't any room to move. He's locked up.
The problem is with that, it eliminates a type of player from the game a little bit.
Which player?
That big inside beast midfielder that loves contest and stoppage.
And it does become a bit more of a foot race then.
Yeah.
Prestia's clearing kick for the Tigers up towards half back. Martin tried to sock it off the ground after it spilled off the hands of Dougal Howard. Marshall's kick towards half forward. Prestia chops it off for the Tigers. Bangs it straight towards the boundary line. Southern wing. Another test. Insufficient intent this time.
Between the arcs, Rama. You're onto something here.
That literally came off the side of Dion Prestia's boot.
But he's kicked a torpedo.
Correct. So it's come off the side of his boot.
Absolutely.
So this is the problem with the umpires. They don't consider skill error.
Hill skies it to half forward to a big pack. It spills to Windhager, has a fumble. Burns has a go. Ralph Smith kicks it off the deck to Martin, not the required distance. Hand passes backwards to Ross, who gives it to Miller. Defensive side of this southern wing, kicks to half forward, knocked away from Rewalt. Owens, hand passes a turnover. It spills to Baker of Richmond, who jams it on the boot inside forward 50. Bolton collects in the pocket. He's kicked it out of play. The umpire says throw it in.
So Windhager's gone to Shea Bolton probably from the second quarter. Bolton was enormous in that first quarter. 2 goals. Slowed Bolton down in that second quarter. Still right with him now in this third quarter, Windhager.
Thrown back in. Tigers in there attacking 50. Miller tries to slap it down, but straight to Sinclair. Great lunging effort by Baker. It might produce a goal. McIntosh gathers. Hand pass over his shoulder towards Prestia. Morris Rioli Jr. was able to work Burns out of it, and then down low, a free kick for too high. And he's getting down low with Stocker, and he was taken high with his intent to try and win the footy. Dion Prestia throws his head back, and now will have to leave the ground for the blood rule. There's some blood streaming from somewhere above his right eye. Lauren Borden down on the boundary.
Well, talking of blood, Nankervis didn't have as much blood on his face. He stuck some cotton up it and he's ready to go on after changing his jumper. Samson Ryan's also come back up. He's got on his right ankle some ice, so it's definitely right ankle for Samson Ryan.
Thanks, Lauren. Subbed out of the match. And Hugo Ralph Smith in. Cooper Sharman still the sub for the Saints, having not been used. Seb Ross gathers on the wing, sends St Kilda towards half forward. Vlauston gathers for the Tigers, was able to beat Higgins. Hand pass to Dan Rioli, through the middle of the ground. Baker, big battle to win. Tapped it away from Dougal Howard. Opens up play. Graham gathers up towards Dusty Martin at half forward. Spoiled away by Wilkie. Martin back after it. Little toe poke. Ralph Smith couldn't gather. Webster the tackle. Revolt came charging in, holding the footy. And Richmond will end up with a shot on goal through Dustin Martin. They were able to get the territory inside 50, and then the ferocious pressure came.
So this goal gets set up from half back on Vlauston. Baker was fantastic, but before that, Rama, St Kilda win the contest. They kick it out, which is going to be the way you do it tonight, and it goes to a two-on-one. Surprise, surprise, Vlauston's there by himself, switches the ball. Fantastic play from Baker, like you mentioned. But ends up in Dusty's hand on the back of some good pressure.
Can he kick 50 in the wet, Rama? Yep. Gets as close to the man on the mark as he can. Dustin Martin misses to the right-hand side. That's 3 behinds for Martin. He's up to 25 disposals. Taranto with 23. Cochin with 20 and 2 goals. All the big names for the Tigers trying to get involved. Richmond by 19 points.
Also had 3 shots on goal, Dustin Martin. So hasn't kicked one yet. 3 points. 25 and 3 halfway through the third. Not a bad game.
Sinclair to Howard, who kicks long down the line. It's a free kick to St Kilda to Mason Wood, who is held. Defensive side of the broadcast wing runs in board and sends a high ball to a big contest. Half forward, King comes out to meet it, takes the grab, gives it to Ross, who evades a would-be tackler from 50 out, sends it to the goal square. No one's home for St Kilda. Lost on the last line defence.
You can say
for the Tigers.
You can say it.
You mentioned, boys, that this weather might suit Richmond. which players do you think might stand up in these conditions?
Well, Nick Vlosten at the moment. No one's playing on him.
I think it suits Baker, Shea Bolton, those type of players who are really crafty.
Dion Presti up. As Brad Crouch gathers, sends him inside 50. Caminiti couldn't quite hang on to the mark. It spills to Butler. Kicks off the outside of the boot. It's bending back. It just won't get there as Dan Rioli races back. He marks just inside the defensive goal square at the City end and denies St Kilda their first goal of this third quarter. The Tigers have had two behinds at the other end. It's been an arm wrestle in this driving rain, and now 50 against Hill, who overstepped the mark. Bit of a shove on Dan Rioli.
What was he doing? I think he claimed no 15.
Didn't think it was 15, yeah.
It was pretty short, to be honest with you, but still.
And Rioli's taken from the defensive 50 to the middle of the MCG. Lauren Borden on the boundary.
Liam Stocker's had a nasty gash on the top of his head fixed up. He'll probably have to change his jumper because he's got blood on it as well. And it looks like Cooper Sharman might be coming on shortly too for the Saints.
That was a massive 50, by the way. More like 60.
Kicks it out towards Broad, who sends Richmond inside 50. The Saints are well set, although Howard flew in front, didn't spoil. Hand pass forward for Ralph Smith, knocking it on Revolt. On the defensive line, Battle gathers. Hand pass to Crouch for the Saints. His kick flares off the outside of the boot and out on the full. And Nathan Broad will have it with a 50-metre up, meets the boundary with a chance to try and kick the first goal of the third term. We're now 18 minutes through this third quarter. Such challenging conditions. And Broad, he doesn't really have the shot on goal. He tries to poke it in the pocket. Revolt comes out. It can't hang on to the mark off his chest. Mason Wood with the hand pass to Sinclair for the Saints. Kicks a spiralling ball to half-back. Charging out Vlosten, no opponent. He just swats it inside 50. Trying to gather the half volley. Burns was tackled. Here's Vlosten again. Onto the right. This time he kicks the goal. Plays such a pivotal role across half-back. He pushes forward and kicks a goal for the Tigers. The first in this third quarter, which is now 19 minutes old. And Richmond relentless. They've had just the 5 inside 50s to St Kilda's 8, but they extend their lead to 25 points. 11-9-75 to St Kilda 8-2-50. And Brent Harvey and Adam Romanascus have been singing the praises of Nick Vlosten. He's now a goal scorer.
Well, and he's had 8 possessions. 6 of those have been intercepts in this quarter, and now a goal. Look, Ross Lyon's usually right on top of this sort of stuff. Just doesn't allow opposition's good players to be free, to set up the way they want. But for whatever reason, he's leaving Vlosten. And it's proving costly in this quarter.
Really costly. Really costly.
First goal of the year to Nick Vlosten and a new game-high lead to Richmond. 25 points after the Saints got out to 23 midway through that opening quarter. From the restart, Sinclair sends a high ball towards half-forward and Vlosten again.
Give me a spell, Rama. This is getting out of hand. Come on, let's call it.
Vlosten, that kick not his best though, although it might still work out for Richmond. Graham collects, gives it to Taranto, has a fumble, Soccer's off the deck. Clark, nice pick up on the wing. Snaps towards half forward. The fist came from Wilkie, it spills to Sinclair. And now that might have been Stocker out there who sends it down the line. Wet weather footy, it spills out the back, no one can take it cleanly. Saints might come up with it. Is Caminiti at centre-half forward? Toe pokes it forward, then goes to ground. The Saints are inside forward 50. Broad picks it up, hacks it out of the danger zone inside the centre square. Big contest from Baker from the back. It spills to Owens. And now to Windhager. Was he caught high from Baker? Umpire says no. Spills to Owens, hacks it inside forward 50. And Crouch takes the mark. 45 out from goal. That was tough. But Crouch can line up for it. What is a much-needed goal for St Kilda in these conditions.
Just a hack kick. Richmond were under immense pressure there. Liam Baker comes in with the spoil, but numbers for St Kilda around that contest. And then just Crouch was right space at the right time.
Game number 150 coming up for Brad Crouch after the bye. Here he is, 49 out from goal. It's missing to the right. Margin 24 points the way of Richmond, who are 11-9-75 to St Kilda. 8-3-51, 22 played, third term on Grayson AFL.
Lauren Borden on the boundary.
It's Dougal Howard who's been taken off Cooper Sharman on, so it's Howard who'll spend the rest of his night on the bench.
Interesting.
Thanks, Lauren. Noel Bolter kicks as far as he can for the Tigers. Spills down by Judson Clark, and he can break away from Hill.
Thought they would have went the other end because Sharman's a forward, so possibly Caminiti.
Nankervis wins down the tap for the Tigers, gets it to Dion Prestia. It slides off the outside of the boot and it's out on the full. A free kick going the way of the Saints at half back.
You're spot on, Ramo. With this weather, too many forwards, tall forwards in particular, makes a huge difference.
Brent Harvey, Adam Romanascus, Matt Clinch, Jess Webster and Lauren Borden with you for Saturday Night Footy. Cal Wilkie long down the wing. Nankervis spoils it down. Clever from Brad Hill. Knocked it to the advantage of Ross. He turns onto his left-hand side, kicks towards half forward. Butler can't take the mark in the trying conditions. Cochin laid the tackle on Steele. Spills again the way of Butler. He squeezes the volley inside 50. Wood back with the fly. Ross spoiled it down. Running onto a Butler. He dribbles it towards the goal mouth. It's online and it gets there. Much needed goal for the Saints, and Dan Butler with his third. Their first goal since the 24-minute mark of the second quarter comes at the 22-minute mark of the third to keep them in the contest. Richmond by 18 points, 11-9-75 to the Saints 9-3-57.
He's had a really good game, Butler. He's had the 9 touches as a small forward and 3 goals to hit the scoreboard. And that was a crafty goal because that ball doesn't, that normally grips Rama, so when you kick it, it's literally a straight ball, but you're still kicking that little banana along the ground. He's a very smart footballer, worked that one out from the get-go.
And in the conditions to go with that option rather than...
Well, it's always going to skid on.
Yeah, it's going to go straight rather than grip. I think he definitely knew what he was doing.
3 goals to Dan Butler, 21 for the season. We're back in the middle. Nice row from Prestia. And packs it towards half forward. Bounce doesn't favour McIntosh. Ross is there for St Kilda. Jams it on the boot. Down the line. Tigers have the numbers. Broad from the side. Wins the footy at ground level. Tackled by Owens. It spills out to Butler. He squeezes a kick into the path of Gresham, who can get on the left. The smother came from Bolter. There's a chance in the pocket for Max King, who has space, can gather. Right foot snap towards the teeth of goal. It's across the face. Still alive. Mason Wood has a go. He snaps it. It's a free kick, in fact, Richmond's way. So, in the last line of defence, looks like it's going to Jaden Short.
Just a little cricket update. 2 for 45, so it was steadied slightly. Kawaja 24, Steve Smith 9.
Around the grounds with Adam Romanascus, day 2 of the first test between Australia and England. Coverage available on the ABC Listen app. Just look for the designated cricket button. And it'll be on ABC Regional Radio, except for Tasmania, and Sport Digital after the AFL tonight. Jack Graham at right half back, sends it as long as he can up towards Nankervis. Marshall spoils it down, spills off Cooper Sharman. The sub into the action. Prestia picks it up for the Tigers. Hand pass to Ralph Smith. Kicks it around the boundary line up the southern wing. Cal Wilkie's a loose, waiting for that kick. He sends it long towards Butler. In from the side, Nankervis spoils it down. Butler once more hard over the footy. Mason Wood overran it. He goes back in with a second attempt. A pirouette as he could have been tripped. He was. Not officiating. Umpire pays the free kick. The Saints will take it at left half forward.
Richmond by 18 points, a goal apiece in this third term. Wood sends it long inside the arc. King, can he get out the back? He can't. Got fingertips to it. Couldn't take clean possession. Crouch taps it onto Gresham, chucks it on the right boot. It's a high ball towards the teeth of goal. King's underneath it. Spills to Crouch, who soccers a goal.
I think it's Higgins.
Higgins, in fact.
Yes, Higgins.
Right place, right time for Jack Higgins. And the Saints have a couple in a row. We're back to 12 points. Richmond, 11-9-75 to St Kilda, 10-3-63. 25 play third term on Grayson AFL.
Well, 13-6 inside 50s at this quarter. Saints were getting a lot of inside 50s, a lot of repeat inside 50s for no reward. But that was a classy little soccer finish there from Higgins. Went through about 3 or 4 players. Ran a little bit lucky, but well done.
Just this last sort of 10 minutes, St Kilda have started just to push the ball forward as much as they possibly can. Lock in territory as much as they can. Prioritise that. Kick long down the line. Scrap the kicks. Kick along the ground. High balls. Max King flying for marks on that occasion. Bring the ball to ground. Play to the conditions.
They've had 13 to 6 the inside 50s, the Saints in this third quarter. Finally, they have a second goal to show for it. 2 goals to the Tigers, 1. Taking just 3 marks to the Tigers, 10. Dusty Martin kicks inside 50. The intercepting mark is taken by Stocker with that head bandaged. He looks out to the members' side. Saints trailing by 12 points. Up towards Wood. Broad spoils it down. Cleverly over his head. The hand pass from Windhager. Out in front of Filippo. He's dragged down. Good tackle, Jack Graham. The rain just maybe slightly starting to ease, or maybe not. Wood kicks up towards half forward. Martin almost juggled the mark. It was touched off the boot, says the umpire. Dan Rioli with a hand pass to Graham. Back behind Martin. He volleys it into the middle of the ground. It may work against him. Sinclair for the Saints. Hand pass to Butler. Tucks the footy under his arm. Looks inside 50. King and Bolter. King gave a shove. Bolter sliding forward. He kept the ball in front importantly. Gets it to short. Sends it out to Judson Clark at right half back for the Tigers.
It's corralled by Sharman. Fends him off and kicks to a one-on-one down the line. Bolton against Webster. Free kick, Webster.
That's a big win too, because he was 2-on-1 there. Webster just got a free kick and a 50. 50. Shea Bolton, was it? The cent?
No doubt.
Big penalty, 50 metres now, because these conditions. It goes from another inside 50 to the Saints. He's right on the 50. Has he got the leg? Not in these conditions.
A long 50.
He's a good kick too.
Just 4 goals in his 138-game career, Jimmy Webster. He'll have to kick this 55 in heavy, wet conditions. He decides to send it into the lead of King. This came from Bolter. It spills to Graham, who again soccers it off the deck, only as far as Stocker, who tries to fend off on Morris Rioli. That's brave. Got the hand pass out. Saints win it through Crouch, who gives it to Windhager. Jams it on the boot inside forward 50. Spoiled away from Owens. Butler tracking it towards the top of the goal square. Overran it. Picked up by Dan Rioli, who hand passes to Bolton. He has a fumble. Hill off the deck to Ross. Hand passes defensively to Sharman. Gets it on the boot. It's a high ball. Tigers have the numbers. Is that a push? The umpire said no. Ball still alive inside 50 for St Kilda. Marshall goes to ground. Gresham tries to go off the deck. In the left forward pocket, wonderful pick up from Crouch to Ross. Square and kick is dropped by Burns. He's good enough to gather at ground level and send through another goal to the Saints. 3 in a row, St Kilda. Margin 6 points. Richmond 11-9-75 to St Kilda 11-3-69. 30 minutes played on Grandstand AFL.
Just little uncharacteristic mistakes by Richmond. They were out. So Rioli gives the handball to Bolton, but Bolton fumbled the ball. So it's just, that extra handball there by Richmond wasn't needed.
Yep.
Just cleared the zone. That allowed then the ball to come back inside forward 50 for St Kilda. It's just a scrap again, Boo.
16-7 inside 50s this quarter. What happens, Rama? We know this, that when you just get repeat inside 50s, you build pressure. They hack kick it out, it comes back in. They hack kick it out, it comes back in. You build pressure. Time in forward half, in particular time in forward 50, creates a lot of opportunities for you.
All of a sudden, it's just 6 points separating these two sides as the Saints small forwards have gone to work. Nankervis gets the clearance, gets it onto Shea Bolton, kicks inside 50. Martin the target, it bounces off him. Revolt threw a boot at it. First time couldn't make contact, second couldn't either. Miller tries to get the hand pass back to Revolt. Working in the defensive 50 is Battle. His kick is straight to the boundary, it's out on the full. The Tigers will have it just outside 50. And Camden McIntosh will take the free kick. Half an hour gone, third term. McIntosh has it on the edge of 50. He'll put it towards the teeth of goal. Nankervis is there. In front, Battle spoiled it down. Straight to Hill of the Saints. Hand pass to Steele. Little fumble as he gathers on defensive 50. Screws it over his shoulder into the middle of the ground. Racing back after it is Dan Rioli. Gathers. Hand pass to Cochin. Quieter in the third term. Kicks towards half forward. Miller on the lead. He marks on his chest. 45 metres out.
I think you go back and have a shot here.
His eyes are darting inside 50, but surely now he concedes the kick is on his boot. He has 2 goals next to his name. The Saints will keep the last 3 goals of the match.
Just keeping an eye on Daniel Rioli. He's hurt his ankle, still limping around.
Ben Miller, the rookie listed Western Australian, veers out to the right, plays on, good purchase. Can he carry the goal line? No, he can't. It's rushed through. Cal Wilkie on the last line and a minor score. Tigers lead by 7 points.
He's very sore, Dan Rioli.
20 seconds remaining in this third term as Sinclair will bring the ball in for St Kilda. Kicks long to the members' wing to a contest. Off hands. And ball is locked up. Burns brought to ground by Taranto. Left half forward for Richmond. And Curvis with a fist. Hold on to your hats. We've got a game at three-quarter time. It is Richmond by 7 points, 11-10-76, leading St Kilda 11-3-69. 3-1 to St Kilda in that third term. Your goal kickers for Richmond, 2 each to Trent Cotchin, Jaden Short and Shea Bolton and Ben Miller, and singles to Nick Vlostone, Liam Baker and Camden McIntosh. And for St Kilda, 3 to Dan Butler, 2 to Jack Higgins and Max King, and singles to Jade Gresham, Ryan Burns, Josh Battle and Anthony Caminiti.
We have a ball game at the MCG. Richmond holding a 7-point advantage. The Tigers got it out to 25 points with the first goal of the third term before the Saints kicked the last 3 to close the margin ahead of three-quarter time. Richmond by 7 points around the grounds with Adam Romanascus. Day 2 of the first test. Australia, 2 for 55.
2 for 55. Smith 10, Kawaja 32.
So the fight back after Stuart Broad picked up not only the wicket of David Warner, but then immediately the wicket of Marnus Labuschagne. He was on a hat-trick. Steve Smith trying to rebuild for the Aussies. We've never needed our best batsman more than now alongside Uzi Khawaja. Of course, coverage available on the ABC Listen app. Just look for the designated cricket button. And for ABC regional listeners, you'll be getting it on local radio, except for Tasmania, and Sport Digital for everyone else who has access to digital radio. Grandstand AFL on ABC Radio, ABC Sport Digital, and now streaming on the ABC Listen app.
For exclusive access to extraordinary people, stream great chats on ABC iView.
I wanted to meet you for so long. Yeah, me too.
With intimate interviews from Louis Theroux and ABC of.
Have you said anything that you've regretted?
Emotional insights on Take 5 with Zan Rowe.
How old were you when your father died?
And probing questions in Stuff the British Stole.
How on earth did you find this?
Great chats and fascinating facts whenever you like. Stream it all for free on ABC iView.
Grandstand AFL.
Now streaming every match on the ABC Listen app.
Look for the AFL button.
Mason Wood with the hand pass to Sinclair for the Saints. Kicks a spiralling ball to half-back. Charging out Vloston, no opponent. He just swats it inside 50. Trying to gather the half volley. Burns was tackled. Here's Vloston again. Onto the right. This time he kicks the goal. Plays such a pivotal role across half-back. He pushes forward and kicks a goal for the Tigers. The first in this third quarter, which is now 19 minutes old. Spills again the way of Butler. He squeezes the volley inside 50. Wood back with the flight. Ross spoiled it down. Running onto Butler. He dribbles it towards the goal mouth. It's online and it gets there. Much needed goal for the Saints, and Dan Butler with his third.
Gresham tries to go off the deck. In the left forward pocket, wonderful pick up from Crouch to Ross. Square and kick is dropped by Burns. He's good enough to gather at ground level and send through another goal to the Saints. Margin 6 points.
The 2023 AFL season.
On radio,
ABC Sport Digital.
and now streaming on the ABC Listen app.
Saturday night footy from the MCG. It's Trent Cotchin's 300th game, and the Tigers hold a 7-point advantage. 11-10-76 to the Saints, 11-3-69. Matt Clinch and Jess Webster calling all the action. Adam Romanascus and Brent Harvey, your experts. We'll hear from them in just a moment. But firstly, down to Lauren Borden.
Well, Daniel Rioli's just emerged from the room, so he went straight down, didn't head to the three-quarter time huddle until now. He's come back from the rooms, no strapping on his right knee. That's what he pointed to when he went down to the rooms with the doctor, and he's jogged to the huddle, but he doesn't look quite right. So we'll see how much he does play this last quarter.
Thanks, Loz. Adam Romanascus and Brent Harvey, your experts on Grandstand AFL. What do we make of that third quarter?
Well, at the start, I thought Vloston was dominant. We mentioned that probably 10 minutes into the quarter. He had 8 possessions, 6 intercept possessions, I think it was, Rama, that you mentioned, and it was playing into his hands and Richmond's hands. credit to where credit's due, and St Kilda got the game back on their terms. We said it was 16-10 in the end, inside 50s, and they built a lot of pressure. They had opportunities. They ended up kicking 3 goals to 1 in the quarter on the back of that pressure. Just having the ball inside 50. Yes, Richmond won the ball, penetrated out, but Saints got numbers behind the ball and gone back in. So it was fantastic work by the Saints to get themselves back in the game. It was really interesting. And as a coach, I'm not sure which way you'd go. And we spoke about it. Would you have the extra at the stoppage v Floston at the back? At the start, we'll pick Floston, but in the end, it ended up working for St Kilda in the long run. So it was a really interesting quarter for me. I think Richmond are obviously playing their surge football, but didn't get enough inside 50s to give themselves a chance. 1 goal in a quarter of football. Had to kick 2 or 3, might have put the game just out of St Kilda's reach for me with this rain.
It's interesting, that quarter, so St Kilda kicked their 3 goals from the 22-minute mark of that third quarter. Really, that was the time that they started to surge the ball, St Kilda themselves. So before that, they were still trying to play this perfect game of football. They evened up the numbers. So Floston, okay, yep, he was still there, but then St Kilda had their player sitting behind the ball. So Richmond were trying to take the ball out of defence into numbers. The ball's just coming straight back in. So their 3 goals that they kicked late in that quarter weren't perfect at all, by no means. The rain is still falling now, so they're going to have to do that again, St Kilda, this quarter. 7 points, 7 points the difference, so it's anybody's game at the moment. But don't go back into perfect mode. Stay in scrap, stay in fight, stay in surge, stay in territory
Well,
mode.
it's the way they got themselves back into the game, isn't it? They have to do it, you're right. We'll see Vlosten, if he's spare again. Once the ball goes inside 50, you don't mind Vlosten being spare.
Correct.
It's when the ball you're trying to go inside 50 from about 80 or 90 out, and Vlosten sits back and it's a 2-on-1, because then they just walk the ball out. If the ball's getting kicked in from 60 and he's spare, that's okay, because when they win it, St Kilda should have to spare and counteract them and get another inside 50, as we've seen in that second half of that quarter.
You said it's anyone's game, Rama, but who would you tip from here?
I still like the Tigers.
Brimmer?
Well, I think it's going to be a fantastic last quarter. I think that the Saints can play like they did in that second half of the quarter. I think Saints get up.
What a final term we're in store for. Richmond by 7 points. The Saints trying to close in this final term. Marshall wins down the tap, spills the way of Ross, trying to knock it forward. He's worked off it by Prestia, kicks inside 50. Revolt comes racing out, tries to slap it to Morris Rioli Jr. Hand pass from Graham, gives it to Taranto, kicks towards Martin. Clever little slap on a Revolt, couldn't take it cleanly. Races after him in the left forward pocket, cuts on his right, can't get any purchase on his kick. And Sinclair intercepts, sends it straight towards the boundary line. Arms outstretched from Baker, insufficient intent. The Tigers will take it back at left half forward.
Is that between the arcs? Yep.
I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that one. There's no player out there.
Absolutely.
Young to send the Tigers into attack once more. Big pack Sharman with the big spoil over the pack. Kills the contest out of play. Throw in 30 around from the Tigers' goal.
It's the one where a player is close to the ball that gets me. But they're not trying to kick to the boundary when they're trying to kick to a player.
Or they get pushed while they're kicking it, or it goes off the side of their boot.
Yeah. That's a skill error.
Richmond by 7, and Curvis and Ruck palms it down. Straight to Sinclair of St Kilda. Kicks towards half back. Crouch couldn't keep it alive. Umpire says throw it in left half forward for Richmond. They lead by 7 points. Early stages, final term, Grandson AFL.
How's it going down there, Lauren Borden? Still raining?
It's certainly still raining. Look, to be honest, I've retreated a little bit, so I'm half in the rain, half undercover.
You're the toughest of our team, there's no doubt about that. Martin tries to dribble it inside 50. Revolt came racing out, couldn't gather. Wilkie can. Clear and kick into the middle of the ground. How will it bounce for Burns? Not all that well. Floston spoils it down. Wanganeen Miller sockers it or volleys it in the air. Gets it out onto the members' wing. Broad's first back for the Tigers. Kicks towards Shea Bolton. He let it bounce. Tries to slap it back towards Graham. Now the boundary umpire wasn't officiating. Says it was over the line and a throw in. Between wing and half forward for the Tigers.
I'm actually getting a bit warm up here. Might take the jumper off.
Oh, that's cruel.
Dear, oh dear.
Hey, you laugh, Glitchy. You got the sleeves up at the moment.
Hey, we've all done what Lauren's done except for you. It's not much fun sitting in the wet. Thrown back in. Toby Nankervis wins down the tap against Marshall. Spills to Winhagen. He can't break clear from the Tim Taranto tackle and a ball up.
Rain still falling at the MCG. Classic wet weather footy game as Nankervis palms it down to Taranto, who whacks it forward by hand, only as far as Wanganeen Miller skies it down the line. It bounces just inside the line and over. Umpire says throw it in. Just a defensive side of the wing. St Kilda kicking towards the punt road end in this final term. Trail Richmond by 7. Ball flung back into play. Nankervis again with another tap. Baker tracking the footy. Hand passes over his head. Taranto thought he was held. The umpire said play on. Picked up by Ross of St Kilda. Snaps it down the line. Goes through a couple of sets of legs. Nice pick up from Bolter. Couldn't hit a target by hand. Broad strip to the footy. And eventually Evangeline beats everyone.
Well, that's really good play by St Kilda. So they make up 50 metres of territory there. Just with a bit of pressure, a bit of tackle, push the ball forward, then push it out of bounds. Now the ball's sitting in their half of the ground.
And the thing is, Ramo, they hack kick it, but it goes to a one-on-one. They got 6 forwards for the ball, so it's okay.
Thrown back in, Marshall, one down the tap. Racing after it, Baker, tackled by Winhagen. Tried to creatively get a kick forward. He missed the ball as he tried to volley it. It's off broad and out of play for a boundary throw in as Steele goes sliding in. So Jack Higgins is on Nick Vlosten. He's trying to drag him back to the goal square wherever he can. He's the dominant player in that third quarter with 5 marks and 3 intercept marks. A great second effort to get forward and kick a goal for the Tigers. Saints finish with the last 3 goals of the third quarter. Thrown back in, Nankervis swats it to the back. Shea Bolton's onto it, kicks into the middle of the ground. Jack Reebok won't get there. Spoiled down by Stocker. Onto it Wood for the Saints. Hand pass to Ross. Steele's kick just dribbles to half forward. Gatled by Baker of the Tigers. Kicks towards Shea Bolton. In 2 minds with her to try and knock it on and take possession. Took possession, tackled, no whistle. Umpire's way play on. Hand pass comes out to Sinclair. He can't break away as he's locked up by Jack Reebok. And a throw up in the middle of the MCG. Tigers by 7.
And Higgins doesn't have to drag Vlosten away from the ball because he's just got to have a one-on-one, make a contest. Vlosten's not going to outmark him in these conditions.
And the stoppage, Martin out of the air, kicks to half forward. Great pickup from McIntosh in these conditions. Gets on the right, sends it to full forward. Can they get a mark? The fist from behind. Webster gives it to Wilkie. Toe pokes it forward. Wood tracking it towards the line. Over and out for a boundary throw-in. 40 around from Richmond's goal. They lead by 7 points. 5 minutes played in this last term. Jess Webster and Matt Clinch calling the action. Adam Ramanaskis and Brent Harvey, your experts, and Lauren Borden, the MVP of our commentary team, in the front row of the grandstand.
There's a bit on the line in this game as well. Richmond trying to stay in touch with the top 8. St Kilda trying to stay in touch with the top 4. From the throw-in, little soccer out from Gresham. Straight to Miller, kicks towards the goal square. Revolt's outnumbered. Getting a fist onto it was Stocker. Spills down the way of Wilkie over around the footy. Ross's hand pass to Graham. Gives the hand pass back to Dan Rioli. Centering kick to Baker. It's 15. He marks just outside 50.
No.
Try conditions. He's a good chance, but not sure about in the wet.
Well, he's just holding up 3 fingers. That must be a set play.
Yeah.
Top of the goal square, I'm
Top of the square, you think? Baker gives everything he's got. He winds up from 55, but won't have the journey. Revolt flies in the pack. McIntosh couldn't get a boot to it. Cooper Sharman's there for the Saints. Kicks towards half-back. Owens was beaten by Miller, but couldn't take in the mark. And it's locked under. In fact, it's Tyler Young who tries to knock it out now. And the footy's stuck underneath him at about a pile of 3 or 4 players. And the umpire will ball it up.
Saints looking to improve their record to 9-4. Richmond want to stay in touch with the top 8. On the line this final quarter is from the stoppage. Martin Roves kicks to full forward. It's knocked down and Hill gathers for St Kilda. Gets on the right towards half-back. Burns in a one-on-one with Dan Rioli. He's limping at 3/4 time. He looks fine out there. Hand passes to Graham at left half forward for Richmond. Wheels in board. Sends it to a pack inside forward 50. The fist came from Sharman. It spills to Hill. He gives it to Sinclair. And now to Burns. Jams it on the boot down the line, but sitting in position A is Vlosten. He couldn't complete the mark. Now they scrap for it on the outer side. It's picked up by Owens of St Kilda. Gives it to King. Hand passes to Burns. He chips it looking for Owens over his head. And sees it out of bounds for a throw-in. Wing position outer side. Richmond by 7. 7.5 played final term.
This first goal, either way.
The tension's building, isn't it?
Yeah, it just feels so important to the contest.
It was a huge win by Higgins there. He was out of the contest. He made up ground going back, didn't give a free kick away, and just brought the ball to ground on Vlosten.
Had a double take. 6 inside 50s to none Richmond's way. Winhager shucks off the tackler. Kicks towards half forward. Filippo can't get there. Young punches it down. Broad trying to gather for the Tigers. Tackled by Higgins and Owens. Spills out the way of Hill. Can't take it cleanly. Broad's over the footy. He was taken high. And the reward is for the player who puts their head over the ball and gets down low.
Well, those little mistakes are going to be critical there. It's the captain, Jack Steele, who gave away the free kick. But just releases the pressure from the Tigers.
Broad takes the free kick, sends it up the southern wing, out in front. Miller marks on his chest. He has it at left half back. Jack Steele, just a 14 disposal, so not having as much of an impact as he would probably like. The kick towards half forward. Sinclair flies in front, brings it down. Taranto squeezes the kick forward. It's off the outside of the boot, straight to the boundary. It rolls out in front of Jack Ross. The umpire says throw it in because it's in the forward half.
That's been the matchup. It's been Steele and Taranto for the majority of this for the night. Taranto's up to 28 now. 13 contested, 8 tackles, 5 clearances.
From the throw-in, Ross toe pokes it forward. Taranto gathers. Hand passes to Bolter. Ricochets in between a number of players. Ross has a go for St Kilda, for Richmond, and Winhager kicks it down the line to a pack. Prestia laying a tackle against Sinclair, locks the ball up on the logo out of side. Still no score in this final quarter. It was Richmond by 10 at quarter time, at 17 at the half, and 3 goals in a row to St Kilda late in that third quarter brought it back to a 7-point margin at the last change.
Saints are able to get it forward towards King, tries to tap it onto his teammates' advantage. Now he knocks it onto Hill at right half forward, inside 50, centering kick to King. Is that 15? It is. He marks on his chest in the right forward pocket. Just the Saints' second inside 50 of this final term. And a chance to put through the first goal.
Well, Bolter makes the mistake by tapping the ball to Hill. And then now his direct opponent marks the ball inside forward 50 for a chance at his third.
And a lot of composure there by Bradley Hill as well. Could have blazed, had a shot on goal, but looked inboard, was getting pushed when he kicked it as well.
2 goals in the first quarter. All of a sudden it's one of the biggest kicks of the night. Max King out to the right, shooting from 40 metres out, comes in, he misses badly out to the right. You heard the Bronx cheers from the Richmond cheer squad, who are still out there in the wet with the pompers. It's the Tigers leading by 6 points.
From the kick in, Bolter advances into the pocket, kicks to the wing. Big fist came, brought it to ground. Picked up by Vlostone, skies it down the line. This came from Sharman. Did really well to halve the contest, and they scrap for it at ground level. The ball's locked up between wing and half forward. St Kilda into attack. A nervous crowd in the stand, most of them Tigers fans. Big 4 points up for grab at the end of the night. Ross from the stoppage hacks it towards half forward. It ricochets to Cochin of the Tigers, who gives it to Graham, and now to Baker. Just gets boot to ball, tumbles it towards the wing, and its intercept mark is taken by Battle.
He looks to try and drive the Saints towards half forward. Owens the target over the top. Young punches it down for the Tigers. Cochin beaten to it. Filippo somehow got it to Crouch inside 50. Higgins can't take the mark. Spoiled away by Short, who got it from Nankervis. Short into the middle of the ground for the Tigers. Miller knocks it down. No one but Saints there. Steal the hand pass to Sinclair. Inside 50. Gresham flew. Brought it down. Crouch to the goal square. Only Tigers there on the last line. Bolter gathering. His kick was smothered by Higgins. Went straight back to him. Noel Bolter with a clearing kick up towards Clark. He wanted to try and take the chest mark. Wanganeen Miller slides in from the side and spoils it out of play.
Very casual there, Bolter, wasn't he? He got smothered. Very lucky the ball didn't go out of bounds. I think that's what he actually wanted, the ball to go out of bounds.
Richmond by 6 points.
No goal scored yet in this final quarter. It'll be worth its weight in gold and wet weather conditions here at the MCG. Ball back into play. Spills out to Wood of St Kilda. Under pressure with the kick down the line. Bounces in front of Gresham, who collects. Snaps it inside forward 50. It's a tumbling ball into the pocket. Filippo and Broad see it over. for a throw in. 30 metres around from St Kilda's goal. And trail Richmond by 6.
Just both teams just throwing jabs at the moment.
Well, this is what the Saints did in the last second half of the last quarter, though. They got repeat inside 50s, as we mentioned, and they got more opportunities.
Owens in ruck against Miller. Short gets boot to ball. Doesn't go the required distance. It spills down to Steele. Gives it to Ross. Jams it on the boot into the pocket. Past Higgins. King is there for St Kilda. Shove Bolter off the footy. Now Owens has a go. Plenty of numbers around this contest. Umpire circles and says, give it to me. Ball up. 15 metres out from the Saints' goal.
So Richmond had the first 6 inside 50s of the quarter. St Kilda have had the last 8. It's the Tigers who still hold a 6-point advantage. Thrown up. Miller tries to tap it down. Baker tries to knock it out. Comes to Filippo. Squeeze the kick towards the goal square. Gresham can't take it. McIntosh can. Slipped. Got a hand pass away to Noah Bolter. Centre and kick into the middle of the ground. Ralph Smith and Sharma. Wilkie comes in to spoil it down. It bounces away of Cochin. He gathers at half-back. Gets the hand pass away to Taranto. Now to Dan Rioli. Can they run the members' wing? Hand pass to Martin. They've got numbers. Over the top to Baker. He goes to kick it forward. Not intended for Ralph Smith. He slaps it forward though. Tackle by Webster.
Okay.
Great tackle. Careful not to make front-on contact. Ray Chamberlain comes racing in, a ball up at right half forward for the Tigers.
They would have liked another 20 metres, Richmond, but now the ball's in their forward half. So they set up the ground how they want now.
Marshall takes it out of the ruck, kicks it straight towards the boundary line. Umpire says, throw it in.
Couldn't pay that. He was getting tackled as he kicked. He's gone on his left foot instead of his right.
You never know.
Yeah, I'm with you, don't worry.
Around the grounds in the cricket, Rammer.
2 for 65, Smith 16, Kawaja 36.
Aussies continuing to fight back.
Miller out of the ruck, gives it to Graham, hacks it inside forward 50, knocked away from Ralph Smith. Rewalt collects, gets on the left, snaps towards a vacant goal square. Webster back with the fly, sees it over for a minor. Margin back out to 7 points. The way of Richmond, 11-11, 77 to the Saints, 11-4, 70. 15 minutes played, final term for AFL.
Still plenty of time, but it still forces 2 scores.
Yeah, Richmond are getting more numbers at fall of the ball, therefore giving them more chances to get the ball forward for themselves.
15 minutes final term gone. Stocker's long kick, cleared the pack, got to Ross, takes a bounce, adventurous on the members' wing. Kick didn't suit Gresham, broadsides in front, didn't take it cleanly, Gresham did. Hand pass to Higgins, into the pocket, good kick, charging out Filippo. Marks on his chest in the left forward pocket, in front of Lawson.
Beautiful kick, just weighted the ball. That's what we tell our boys, you don't have to stab the ball very hard. Let the forward come into the football and do the work. Beautiful kick by Higgins.
It was Seb Ross initially. They had the audacity to take a bounce in these conditions because he looked up. Just simply wasn't numbers available.
The round 8 rising star nominee. Can he stand up here? It's a shank. It won't have the journey to the top of the goal square, and flying in front, Jaden Short takes the mark. Just couldn't quite get enough purchase on the greasy footy. And he goes short to McIntosh in the right back pocket. Tigers by 7.
Kicks long down the members' wing to a contest. Wilkie with the fist. Spills to Stocker. Can't take it cleanly. Picked up by Reward of the Tigers. Gives it to Taranto. Kicks it down the line. No one there for the Tigers. And Crouch takes the intercepting grab for St Kilda. They trail Richmond by 7. Crouch to a big pack at half forward. Marshall in front position. Couldn't complete the mark. Cochin sends it forward only as far as Crouch, who sends it back the other way to Windhager. Kicks it straight into the back of Gresham. It ricochets to Butler from centre half forward. Chips it inside the arc to Higgins. Tackled immediately, but gets the hand pass out to King, who gets around Bolter and onto the left and sprays it out of bounds on the full. Free kick Richmond in the right back pocket.
I got a little theory, but when we got a break in play, I'll run it past you. So I know Boomer wore leather boots.
I'll look forward to that. Forston takes the free kick, hard against the boundary. Revolt comes charging out, had to spoil Mason Wood. Taranto front and centre, tackle by Wood. Back to McIntosh, ran into a dead end. Wilkie laid the tackle, Crouch as well. Eventually the free kick came and the ball was kicked away.
The crowd was calling for 50. It would have been a handy 52. Even a point here, Rammer, just puts him within a goal. Were they 7 points still?
Cal Wilkie at left arm forward, sends it towards the teeth of goal. Underneath it, Mitch Owens spoils it down. Short shovels out a hand pass, out in front of Prestia, gives it to Cochin. Clever kick up to left half back. Underneath it, Judson Clark slaps it away from Sinclair. Foot race is on. Clark overran it. He has to go back and win it. Hand pass to Ross around the southern wing. Tigers streaming forward. He spots Taranto in the middle of the ground. He takes the mark. Pushes back behind his mark, looks the inside 50. Ralph Smith offers a lead. He can't hang on. Cooper Sharman makes the clearance. And racing after it, Sinclair dives for the boundary line. Almost like the try line in a State of Origin match. He gets it over the line and a boundary throw in. The Tigers now have it in their forward 50, leading by 7 points.
Quick update, Steve Smith out, LBW, Ben Stokes.
Nearly time on in this final quarter. Ball back into play inside Richmond's forward 50. Crouch gives it to Burns, to Wanganeen Millerer. Rush kick around the corner. Exits defensive 50. Bounces in front of Owen. Spills to Gresham. He's tackled immediately by Ross and Broad. Ball spills loose. Umpire says play on. Young has a go. So does Gresham. Prestia picks it up. He gives it to Taranto from left half forward, out of bounds on a full. Free kick to St Kilda in the right back pocket. They trail Richmond by 7 points. 19 played, final term. Still no goal has been kicked in this final quarter. It was Richmond by 7 at three-quarter time.
Before that ball went out of bounds on the floor, I was just about to say that Richmond have been a little bit cleaner this quarter, by hand and by foot.
Ross for the Tigers, inside 50. Revolt comes out in the lead. Sharman spoils it down. A chance still for the Tigers as Crouches over the footy. Martin tries to wrestle it away. Slip hand pass away to Ross. Driving kick towards McIntosh. Spoiled away from him. The fist away from Wood. Straight to Cochin. Don't tell me. Can he get the journey? He can't. It's millimetres short. As it's rushed through for a minor score. Marcus Winhager was there. The shot of the Cochin family on the big screen. In game 300 almost came up with the winner. 19 minutes gone, final term.
Wanganeen Millerer to Stocker, didn't hit the target, now he's under pressure, gets the hand pass out. Now has that come off McIntosh's boot? It has, so the Saints can breathe a sigh of relief as Jack Sinclair to take the free kick at left half back. Chips it short to Stocker, that's surely not 15, it is paid. Fix me. Stocker will wind up, bomb it down the line. Mark to Miller, who couldn't complete it, used the body well. Prestia laying a tackle, locking the ball up in front of the interchange gates. Richmond by 8 as we tick into time on of this final quarter on Grandstand AFL.
So Steve Smith out for 16, just ahead of lunch. Australia 3-4-68 with Warner out for 9. Marnus Labuschagne out for a duck. Travis Head comes to the crease. Tigers holding on to an 8-point advantage. Was there a hold on Revolt? Not officiated. Umpire says there was. No, a fend off. And it's going to be a St Kilda free kick. It's going to go the way of Cal Wilkie. So against Jack Revolt in the end. Pass the Saints at left half back, trailing by 8. Kick towards Mason Wood. Cochin dropped the mark. Brad Hill gets the hand pass to Steele. Kicks out towards Gresham, who was forward. The kick was offline, and Vlosten hugs the mark to his chest. The Saints in this final term only kicking out about 25%, 26% kicking efficiency compared to the Tigers at 47, but it is belting with rain.
Lostone long down the line. The fist came from Wilkie. It spills to Taranto, the Tigers, who hacks it forward. In position A is Sharman, but Ralph Smith gave away the free kick. Sharman will send St Kilda forward once again. King outnumbered. Marshall, in fact, it was. Brought it to ground. Steele picks it up, gives it to Ross. His hand pass put Winhager under all sorts of pressure. Is tackled immediately by Baker. But it's a free kick to St Kilda. So perhaps maybe that tackle lingering a little long. Winhager short to Ross. His hand pass to Wanganeen Millerer from left half forward. Kick skews off the side of the boot. It'll bounce inside forward 50. Ross taps it on to Bolter. It's Grimes, in fact, who was run down by Higgins, and free kick for holding the ball.
He's had a bad night, Dylan Grimes. Like, just get the ball on the boot.
No awareness there, runner. No awareness. Clear the area. Clear the area. Kick it as far and as wide as you possibly can.
No need to tell you, this kick is massive. Jack Higgins Already has 2 tonight from 50 out, directly in front. Out of bounds on the full. Tension continuing to rise here in the final term. Richmond by 8.
Well, they've had their opportunities now. That's Higgins, and I think it was Philippou, was it?
Yeah,
Earlier on.
Philippou, King.
Philippou,
They've all
yeah.
had chances. There's Tyler Young with the long clearing kick for the Tigers. Up goes Sharma, spoils it down. Onto it, Brad Hill. Hand pass towards Wanganeen Miller. A first kick smothered. Has the second go. Kicks inside 50. Boston spoiled rather than taking the mark. Wood knocks it on to Butler. He holds the footy in. He's tackled by Taranto and also Broad. And the umpire will board up. It's 45 metres out from the Saints' goal, but the Tigers still hold a 2-kick advantage. They lead by 8 points. It spills down the way of Hill. Squeeze the kick inside 50 on the ground. Dan Rioli showing good dash. He gathers up against the boundary. Kicks towards Miller at half forward. Sliding in front. Sharman took the mark, but he was taken high, and a free kick's going to come back, even though the umpire said it's downfield. So Dan Rioli was taken high. It's a downfield free kick. The footy was kicked back to Rioli, but it won't be a 50-metre penalty.
And the problem with St Kilda missing those 2 shots on goal, even if they scored now, they've got to probably kick 2 goals, to be honest, to win this game, being 8 points down. If they just kick 1 or 2 of those points, it's a 6-point ball game.
There's a stray elbow in the end from Messiah Wanganeen Miller. Just needs to be careful that he doesn't find himself in hot water. Rioli's a bit worse for wear. Miller takes the free kick downfield, long towards Revolt. It clears the pack. Martin trying to gather for the Tigers, wrestling with Cooper Sharman. Over the top comes Dan Curvis. The footy locked underneath those players. And the umpire will ball it up. 50 out from the Tigers' goal. They lead by 8 points. We're now under 3 minutes remaining.
Marshall with the tap down. Prestia can't keep it alive. They'll have a throw in it right half forward.
Have we had a goal kick this quarter yet?
No goals. 3 behinds. 2 behinds to Richmond, 1 behind to St Kilda. A couple of out of bounds on the full.
18 goals kicked in the first half, 4 so far in the second half.
All back into play. Tigers fans are starting to find their voice. Taranto inside 50 on the outside of the boot. May have just won it for Richmond. Some absolute class from Tim Taranto in the wet. Outside of the boot, 40 metres out, and sends it through for the first goal of this final quarter. Richmond's advantage is now 14 points. 12-12-84 to St Kilda 11-4-70. 25 played, final term, Grandstand AFL.
Oh, he's had a big night now, Boomer. It's 38 possessions for Tim Taranto, 18 contested, 10 tackles, 6 clearances, 4 inside 50s and a goal.
And the sealer.
Yeah, and the sealer there, like, outside of the boot, check side, out of the contest. St Kilda players chasing him down. Classy goal by Taranto in these conditions.
Saints now racing the clock. Now Curves in the middle of the ground, tries to get the hand pass away. Almost a chance for the Saints. But Prestia gathers, kicks out to Shea Bolton, running back with the flight. Dropped the mark and lost his footing. Hill's onto it. Quick hand pass away to Battle. Back to Brad Hill. Roll the dice now into the middle of the ground. He misses the target. And Prestia juggles the mark. Between wing and half forward on the members' side. Tigers by 14 points. And all of a sudden there's no urgency for Richmond. They'll take as many seconds as they can. He kicks towards the pocket. Jack Revolt's outnumbered. 2-on-1. It clears Marshall off Battle's hands and goes out of play in the right forward pocket for the Tigers.
He's had a big 7 or 8 weeks now, hasn't he, Tim Taranto?
Yeah.
Hit the scoreboard numerous occasions.
He's had a brilliant year.
He has.
It's number 5 in the comp for average disposals, number 9 for tackles, number 8 for clearances. It's putting up some big numbers, Tim Taranto. Kicked a big goal a few moments ago. Ball in, forward 50. There is Tim Taranto again. The ball is locked up. And we've got a ball up, 40 out from the Tigers' goal. Their margin is 14 points. Crouch got boot to ball. Prestia on his hands and knees. Marshall over the top of him. Umpire circling. He's got to be holding the ball.
Of course he is. It's Razor.
Marshall from the defensive 50 wants to use the corridor, knows there's not a lot of time left. Numbers favouring the Tigers. It spills to Wanganeen Miller, who coughs it up to Cochin, who tumbles it towards centre-half forward. Martin inside forward 50. Stocker's there for St Kilda. Goes to ground, allows Bolton some space. Slips a tackle from the pocket, gets on the right. And that is the sealer. Shea Bolton with a bit of wet weather magic. And his third goal of the evening puts the result beyond doubt. Richmond lead by 20. 13-12-90 to St Kilda, 11-4-70, 28 played, final term on Grandstand AFL.
Well, he knew exactly what he was doing there. He was going to go on his left. He's seen that tiny bit of space and just said, nah, I'm taking this. And what a finish from the boundary in these conditions. Geez, a classy play.
Jeez, I hated that from Liam Stocker.
You know, he's trying
for the free kick.
He's trying to draw the free kick
just
by turning his
the
body.
Ball. Just take your body through the ball, pick it up and kick it. Too many players do that in our competition now. And ultimately it cost St Kilda a goal there. Boom.
The Stars have stood up big for the Tigers, and here's Trent Cotchin. Sends them towards half forward, lunging forward. Baker can't take the mark. Sliding onwards Sinclair, sends them out to the southern wing. Burns takes the mark. He wants to feed the hand pass forward to Hill, who's running boundary side. Around Ross, sends it towards half forward. Broad's underneath, he spoils it rather than taking the mark. It bounces to Cochin. He hand passes straight to Steele of the Saints. To Burns, who squeezes the kick high towards half forward. Winhager nudged underneath it. Prestia can't take the mark. Wood over the top. The ball locked up 45 metres out from the Saints' goal. The Saints had opportunities in the final term. As Damien Hardwick shown on the big screen, he pumps his fist. Is that the champion celebration as he holds the hands above in a clenched fist? From the ball up, it spills out the way of Burns. Hand pass to Brad Hill, feeds it back to Wilkie, kicks it towards half forward. Broad takes the intercepting mark. He marks it left half forward, left half back for the Tigers. Approaching half an hour gone in the final term. That might be the last kick of the night as he sends it out to left half back. And it's a yellow and black celebration to remember. Trent Cotchin in game 300 is a winner, as the Tigers kick the only 2 goals of the final term to run out 20-point winners.
In any weather you will see us with the grin, risking head and shin, and we're behind the never mind the fight and win away from Tigerland. We never wake until the final siren's gone. Like the tiger of old, we're strong and we're bold, for we're from Tigerland. Yellow and black, we're from Tigerland.
In front of 62,686, the Tigers 13-12-90 to the Saints 11-4-70. Richmond make it 3 wins on the trot, and they're slowly making up ground just outside the AFL's top 8 with a much-needed 20-point victory for the Saints. A golden opportunity to move in touch with the top 4 goes begging. For the Tigers, 3 goals to Shea Bolton, 2 to Short, 2 to Miller. Individuals to Vlosten, Baker and Taranto alongside McIntosh. For the Saints, 3 to Butler, 2 to Higgins, 2 to King. Individuals to Gresham, Burns and Battle alongside Caminiti. The Tigers with their 6th win of the season.
We never wait until the final siren's gone. Like the tiger of old, the strong and we're bold, for we're from Tiger. Yeah, we're from Tigerland.
The Tigers do it for Koch in game 300. Richmond winners by 20 points. And I'm sure there'll be a guard of honour for him. So many of the Richmond faithful who will brave the wet will be keen to see him cheered off a winner in his 300th game. The thoughts of Adam Manaskis and Brett Harvey, your experts on ABC Sport.
Well, look, as soon as the rain came down, it just became a big territory game. And Richmond just played a smarter game, simple as that. They won clearance by 9. They won centre bounce by 9. And that's where your territory comes from. You can win that centre bounce in wet conditions and take the ball forward and lock the ball in your forward line. You give yourself opportunity. St Kilda ultimately have had more inside 50s, 61 to 58. but they've only had 15 scoring shots out of those 60. I thought Nick Loston was enormous tonight.
They let him though, Rama.
Yeah,
we
they
spoke
did,
about it for a period of that third quarter where they actually let him, and anyone can be a good player if you're playing on your own.
Yeah.
If St Kilda wanted to take an extra at the stoppage, when the conditions changed, they had to change and adapt to the conditions, because an extra at the stoppage there's not going to be a clean ball. You're not going to pick them up. You're not going to give it out to Bradley Hill like they were in the first quarter. It's too slippery. It's too hard to do that. And so what's going to happen? You win the stoppage, you hack kick it. Yep. It's a 2v1, and Loston was the spare. We spoke about it so long. He's had 11 intercept possessions for the night. Yeah. I reckon 7 of them were in that in that third quarter.
And you just wonder how long St Kilda debated it for. Like it got to the point where it's just, if it's obvious for us to see, surely it's obvious for the coaching staff to see that we have to even the numbers up around this contest. The Saints players here are lining up for Trent Cotchin.
Trent Cotchin's 3 kids have made their way. His 3 daughters out on the middle of the MCG. One with a footy in hand and a bit of a smile between Jack Revolt and Dusty Martin as they're on hand to cheer off Trent Cotchin, who is very much smelling the roses right now.
So that's a photo right there. That's the photo that Koch will have. He's got 2 teammates cheering him off, and he's got 3 teammates with his little girls on their shoulders. That's the photo that goes in the hallway.
So Dylan Grimes has come to one side, and all 3 of his daughters are also being cheered off. Tim Taranto and Liam Baker, and you're right, Boomer, as the Saints are on the left-hand side, the Tigers on the right. That'll be a moment for his family to proudly put on display, and in so many ways sums up Trent Cotchin and the selfless nature in which he's taken the Tigers to being a 3-time premiership golden era under his leadership. Richmond winners by 20 points at the MCG, 13-12-90 to the Saints 11-4-70.
And Koch in his 300s had just a terrific game. 29 possessions, 2 goals, 15 contested, 5 tackles, 5 clearances.
He had 11 in the first quarter and a goal, Rammer.
Yeah, he was brilliant.
It was a fantastic start to his...
He was brilliant in that game. Tim Taranto, we spoke about his game. Just that goal at the end to seal it for the Tigers. 38 possessions.
It just creeps up on you. He's had 38 touches.
Yeah, 18 contested, 10 tackles, 6 clearances. So it's really the clearance game. Like Taranto 6 clearances, Martin 6 clearances, Cotchin 5, Daniel Rioli, who I thought was terrific across halfback, 4 clearances, Prestia 7 clearances, Bolton 3 goals, 7 clearances. So it was an all-round game by the Tigers, but once it was 4-0 to start the game.
Yeah.
Kilda they flew out of the blocks, and you think, geez, they're going to blow the Tigers away here. But then they crept back in. Like there was 11 goals kicked in that first quarter. So it was a massive first quarter. Then the rain came.
Yeah.
And I thought once the rain came in this game, Richmond adapted a lot quicker. They changed their game to get it down the line, kick it off the ground, surge the ball forward, tackle, hold the ball into contest. St Kilda was still trying to play a perfect game.
To Richmond's credit, St Kilda kicked the first 4 you just mentioned. Richmond then went on and kicked 6 out of the next 7. It was the first quarter that really set it up, because they could have not put the queue in the rack. You're never going to do that, but they could have just battered away and maybe made it 4 goals apiece. I thought they were fantastic, and 16 inside 50s for 10 scoring shots in that first quarter kept them right in the game.
So it's a missed opportunity for the Saints.
Yeah,
they come back into the ruck a little bit now with that loss. So, Brad Crouch was good tonight. Hill was okay. Sinclair's had 31, but it's probably not at his damaging best as he has been this year. Jack Steele was down. Mason Wood was down. Wilkie didn't have a big game. Gresham didn't have a big game. So they had a lot of their prime movers through the middle of the ground, just a little bit down, whereas Richmond's prime movers through the middle of the ground, they were all up and about in this game, and they had big games. You could see from early in the game Dustin Martin wanted to play. And I say that with the greatest amount of respect for Dusty, because sometimes, he rolls out there and he's not chasing and he's doing his thing because he's been such a great player. But tonight, 34 touches, 11 contested, 3 tackles, 6 clearances. Could have kicked 3 behinds, but you could see he was heavily engaged in the game. Yeah,
he was, and from the very start as well.
That's his great mate, Cotchin.
Yeah, of course. Sometimes, Rami, you can read a lot of things that the coach's office I often say, we'll tell if we're on by our first zone.
Yeah.
You know, if we're close to our man. St Kilda letting Jaden Short come past on 2 occasions. First one you go, oh, maybe that was, let's clean that up.
That's a fluke.
But the second one, to let him just come past again and do it, you can tell, and they'll review that and they'll say, we could tell you were just off. And for me, they weren't off at the start. They kicked the first 4 goals of the game. But they're the little things.
Defensively, they're usually
They're the little
on.
things that you've got to take into account, and that shouldn't happen against teams.
So,
everybody knows Jaden Short.
18 goals scored in the first half, just 6 in the second, and the Saints will feel like they had their opportunities. They couldn't capitalise to start the final term. Trent Cotchin very much being the family man. His 3 daughters leading the Tigers off the MCG. They'll be making their way down to Lauren Borden.
They spent a fair bit of time on the field. I think there are a few victory laps going on. Despite all the rain, they're coming in now. Dustin Martin with both hands above his head towards the supporters who are standing on the steps behind their team here, behind the barriers, as Grimes leads them in straight into the circle, and they'll start to make their way here. There's plenty of friends, family, a lot of staff just slowly clapping them in as they make their way in. Not too much mud on the legs and on the boots, actually, than what I expected after the wet conditions that they have been played in. Someone's brought in one of the giant Trent Cotchin faces, the cartoon faces, and they'll be bringing it into the huddle, actually. So that's Floston, who's brought a giant Trent Cotchin cardboard cutout into the huddle as they all get together now to celebrate the winning Cotchin's 300th game. And they're waiting on someone. Oh, it might be Trent Cotchin's daughter, doesn't want to join in. They invited her in, but she doesn't want to. She's gone off to the back to her mum. So they're singing now. They're pretty happy, but they look absolutely spent. So hopefully we'll get to chat to Jaden Short in a moment.
Thanks, Lauren. Very much looking forward to enjoying his reflections on what was a pretty good game in Trent Cotchin's game 300, one of the crucial cogs for the Tigers. It is lunch in day 2 of the first test of the Ashes. Australia are 3 for 78. Usman Khawaja is not out on 40. Travis Head is on 8. So the 3 wickets to fall from an Australian point of view. David Warner was out for 9. Marnus Labuschagne followed him straight away, out for a duck, and then Steve Smith just before lunch, out for 16. So Australia 3 for 78. All of a sudden 8 declared for 393. England 315 runs behind Australia. Looks a fair way off with a bit of work to be done at 3 for 78.
A lot of work to be done for the Aussies now.
What time you start and watch it to tonight, Rammer?
Tea at least.
What time's that?
12:40.
12:40.
Yeah.
I lasted till that time last night. I'm not sure I can do that again tonight, but we shall see.
Have some commitment.
Yeah, that's a good point. So the Tigers get to the bye. There's 6 wins, 1 loss, and
a draw.
6 wins, 1 draw, 7 losses. They have the bye. All of a sudden they've won 3 of the last 4 under Andrew McWalter. They have Brisbane at the Gabba, Sydney in the 2 weeks to follow after the bye. Can you see them making the finals? West Coast in the week after, Hawthorn, Melbourne, Bulldogs, St Kilda, North Melbourne, and
When's
Port
Tom
Adelaide.
Lynch come back? He's
excellent.
Yeah, I'm not.
They're 2 points out of the 8.
He's out. He might not get back. He's, according to the AFL website, 7 to 12 weeks.
Oh, still.
Let's head inside the Richmond camp. Jaden Short might be able to help
Jaden
us.
Short, yes.
He's with Lauren Borden.
Thanks, Clinty. I have got Jaden Short down here. A great win for you tonight. A lot of reasons. A couple of goals for yourself as well, but it was a tough slog until Tim Taranto really kicked that sealer in the end. What was it like in the last quarter battling through that?
Oh, it's a bit of a territory game, to be honest. It was raining pretty heavily, so it was a bit of a heavy ball, and just trying to take as much territory as we can. And we obviously know they're a good team, so just try to keep the ball inside 50 as much as we can. But once Tim kicked that sealer, it sort of sealed the deal for us, so it was good.
You got a couple of goals yourself, both through outside 50. Were you happy you had those shots early in the game rather than when the rain set in?
Oh, I wouldn't have been able to kick them late. The ball's like a medicine ball, so I probably didn't deserve the one that Bakes gave me. He probably handballed it 10 metres backwards, but they're always good to get your game going, so I'll take a goal, definitely.
You probably would have known what conditions were coming. Was there a focus in that, pre-game in the meetings to really get yourself off to a good start, even though in the end St Kilda managed to jump you and score the first 4 goals?
Oh, to be honest, I didn't even know the rain was coming. It's not something we spoke about either. I just assumed it was going to be windy tonight. I've been speaking to Dan Butler throughout the week, and he said it's going to be blowing a gale. But yeah, he didn't tell me the rain was coming because they usually say the rain drops short stops. So I didn't know.
I'm sure upstairs we'll have a few more questions for you, so we'll head to our experts, Adam Rabanuskas and Brent Harvey.
Jaden, well done on your game, mate. Firstly, we know what Trent Cotchin means to the Richmond Football Club, but what does he mean to you personally? How has he helped you along your journey?
Oh, to be honest, mate, he's just been like a father figure since the day I walked into the club. He's been someone I could lean on, someone I could talk to. I mean, he's been my captain for the last 7 years. He's just an amazing human. On the field, he's an absolute trooper, and off the field, he's just a great person. I can't speak highly enough of a man, and what he's done for this football club has just been absolutely amazing. So I'm wrapped we could get the win for him tonight. But he's an amazing person, and I don't think you need me to tell you how good he is, because I think everyone knows that. But he's been awesome for us.
So you have a bye. Where does the celebrations then take you tonight? Usually, that's the celebrations are usually pretty good if you have a win in the ex-skipper's 300th game.
Yeah, well, I actually got asked that question the other day, but Trent isn't one that goes out and smashes heaps of beers, to be honest. So it might be a nice dinner, I reckon. I reckon Trent might rather that. But it's going to be good to have a break, and the boys can freshen up. It's been obviously a big month, I suppose, and we lost Dimmer, and then it's been obviously a decent month since then. So a nice little earned break, then I think the boys will enjoy it.
Your 3 wins, 1 loss since Dimmer decided he had enough. What's been has there been a specific change, or is it simply just you guys are just playing better football? It doesn't look like you're playing differently. It just looks like you're playing better.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably just been simplified a little bit. Blokes are having a little bit more free rein on how they go about the game, I suppose. And obviously, if you're watching us play, nothing's changed. I mean, our game plan's exactly the same. So Dimmer sort of set that up for us. But blokes are just out there having fun. I mean, there's no real ceiling on the season now. We didn't really know where we were going to be this time of the year, and Andrew sort of just freed us up a little bit, and sort of took away a little bit of the expectations of how we're going to perform. And obviously, the wins have been awesome, and we'll take them when we can get them.
Jaden, you're only 2 points out of the top 8 now. Do you start looking at that? Because you go back 4 weeks ago and people start saying, I'm not sure they're going to make the 8. Now, you guys wouldn't be thinking that, but certainly the football world is. You look at the ladder right now, you're 2 points out of 8. Does that change people's perception, or internally your perception?
Oh, I mean, it's not sort of something we sort of speak about a lot, is the ladder, but I mean, the wins do help. And I've never, and either the other boys, never lost belief in what we're doing. Not once have I questioned the way we go about it, and the way we want to play. So I've still got full belief in what we're doing, and we want to be playing finals. So it's obviously something we'll look at, and something will give us confidence that we can get a win on the board, and we're just going to keep working on it. Obviously, it's a long season. We're midway through now, and there's some great teams out there. So we'll go up to the Gabba in 2 weeks' time, and it'll be another challenge against Brisbane.
Now, I just want to take you back to Trent Cotchin just for a second. A Northern Knights boy, yourselves a Northern Knights boy. Always look out for the Northern Knights boys, because we're a tight little bunch down there, mate, as you would know. When you got to the football club, what year was Trent in?
I reckon Trent might have been in his 7th or 8th year.
7th or 8th year.
Yeah.
So when you talk about his leadership on the field, I just want to take you off the field just for a second. What sort of stuff was he doing with the young boys off field rather than on field that makes him such a great leader?
Oh, to be honest, Boomer, it's just spending time. I mean, you know what it's like when you're a young kid coming into a football club. All you want is someone to spend time with you, someone who believes in you. And he's always had that in his players. He always believed in everyone else before himself, to be honest. He gave every player that walked through those doors full confidence. He trusted what they were going to bring. I mean, he led the way in the way we wanted to train, the way we wanted to perform, the way we wanted to prepare. And he sort of led that way, and we were just sort of forced to follow, to be honest. But, I mean, he's such a great family man. He's got a heap of respect for everyone that he talks to. He's just someone that I've always looked up to, and someone that I've admired, and someone that I will admire probably for the rest of my life as well. But it definitely helps that he's from the Northern Knights. So.
Good man. Good man.
Jaden, you're probably going to go. What was the presentation? Was there a video? Did Damien Hardwick make an appearance?
Yeah, there was a little video. I think Barmy's talking now, boys.
Okay, we'll let you go.
Sorry, boys.
Thanks, Jaden. Kind of tempted just to leave the
you can
mic up and
leave
see
the
what we can
microphone
hear.
on, Loz. Turn it up.
wonderful to play with. We played together when I wore this blazer in 1973. Would you believe that? But it's wonderful to ask you to present the trophy. It'll be one of our blokes, which is even better. Otherwise, we get a St Kilda bloke to come in. That wouldn't be much fun. So here's Stewie.
So Ian Stewart presenting the trophy.
Fantastic game and a great effort. Fantastic effort. The winner and the collective voters are not the only one that votes, so it's collectively, so you can't. So the winner is Tim Taranto.
Well, we might leave the Richmond presentation there. He had 38 disposals, kicked a big goal in the final term, 10 tackles, 6 clearances. I've got no doubt he'll feature in the ABC Footballer of the Year when we get to the votes. So, I mean, the question is could the Tigers get there? Can you see them featuring in finals?
Yeah, of course.
2 points out.
Yeah, look, they were, you look at the way they finished last year and then to lose that game in the circumstances they did in the elimination final against Brisbane.
Yep.
I give them still every chance to play a finals football, particularly if you get an effort like that from Dustin Martin, you're getting goals like that from Shea Bolton, you're getting, I think Trent Cotchin's rejuvenated almost. I don't know how it's sort of a little bit of a Benjamin Button moment.
Yeah,
sort of
foregone conclusion that he and Jack Revolt would retire at the end of the season. Maybe there's just a tiny bit left in the tank.
Yeah, well, he's come back into the middle a lot more. So I think
no Jacob Hopper.
Damien Hardwick was probably transitioning the other way, but at the end of the day, he's a warrior. He looks free and sort of fit again. He might challenge Boomer actually.
Who are we talking about?
Koch.
I was more thinking Scott Pendlebury, but 437.
Me?
Yeah.
432.
Sorry, 432.
That's all right. That's okay.
Should roll
you
off.
Should know that,
better
but
than that.
Don't worry about it.
Yes, I should. As we prepare the votes for the ABC Football of the Year, Trent Cotchin spoke with Fox Sports. Let's bring you a bit of it.
To get the win in tough conditions, it's hard to separate all those really key moments throughout your career, and it's something that I reflect on fondly when it's all said and done.
When did you realise that Damien Hardwick was going to be at the game? Where there was a couple of shots throughout the course of the night, the big cheer went up, and he celebrated in the last couple of minutes. When did you understand that he was going to be there?
Well, he sent me a wonderful text earlier in the week, and obviously just about not just this weekend, but our journey together. It's been a really special one. We've shared so many highs and so many lows, and I think that's when it's most important that you have really good people around you, and that's what he is. And I did happen to spot him there late in the last quarter, and it gave me a cheeky little grin while I was running around on the G.
Now, it was great to see, great images. Koch, just back to you for one last one. The last fortnight, your individual form's been fantastic, and that's coincided with your move back into the midfield. Has that reinvigorated you, getting back to your old spot?
Look, to be honest, I'm willing to do any role that I need to for the footy team, and that was effectively what I needed to do for the first 10 or so weeks this year, playing half forward. But it is a tough role, and I take my hat off to the boys that do it for us. It's a really unrewarded role, but the way that they execute on that every week is really special, and that's what I tried to do when I was playing it. Eddie, you can probably comment more on the way you can impact on the scoreboard, because I haven't managed to do that. But yeah, feeling a lot better about being around the ball. Obviously, it's where I feel most natural, and I've played plenty of footy there. So I just feel like the group's really turned a corner with regards to their connection and the way that we're attacking the games.
Trent Cotchin speaking with Fox Footy after his 300th game. No doubt the celebrations will continue into the night. The cricket, for a lot of our audience, you'll be heading there. If you're listening to us on local radio in some of the capital cities, you'll have to go to the ABC Listen app or the ABC Sport on the digital radio. But in some of the regionals, you will get it on local radio. So the votes in the ABC Footballer of the Year, Adam Romanascus.
I went a little bit different to Ian Stewart. I gave 1 to Tim Taranto. I thought he was he was very good. I thought
he had 38 touches at him.
Yeah, he was very good as we spoke about. But I gave 2 to Trent Cotchin. I thought when the game was at its fiercest early in that first half, Koch was terrific. He's had 29 possessions and kicked 2 goals. And I gave 3 to Nick Vlaston. I thought he was the most influential player on the ground by a mile tonight. St Kilda had no answer for him, particularly as we spoke about, Boomer, in that third quarter. But he kicked the goal himself. He's had 23 possessions, 11 intercepts, 9 marks in tonight's game. I thought he was terrific.
3 to Boston, 2 to Cochin, 1 to Taranto from Adam Romanascus in his ABC Footballer of the Year. Ross Lyons said he gave them some pretty harsh feedback, having lost to the Hawks before the bye. They then bounced back, the Saints, with a good win against Sydney in a low-scoring match. It's a bit of a reality check that at the moment, in tough, greasy conditions, they had their chances early in the last and just couldn't kick them.
Yeah, no, I was really looking forward to see how they defended the MCG, and as it worked out, I thought Richmond had a little bit more space than I actually thought they would. And we spoke about the length, the width and everything. And, the one against Hawthorn was out of the box. You thought, they're not going to serve that up again. But tonight, Richmond, you know what? Credit to Richmond. Richmond were pretty good.
So the Saints have the Brisbane Lions at Docklands next Friday night. Far more familiar territory. And the West Coast Eagles in Melbourne. So a tough 2 games. Although, we're as curious as to how Brisbane will go. More so at the MCG and the Docklands, but a couple of big games for the Saints to see how they fare. See how the Aussies fare.
Yeah, well, we need a big session. This middle session is probably going to decide this Test match, in my opinion, in my cricket expertise. So I'm looking forward to getting home, see if Khawaja and Head can dig in here and make some runs and avoid the follow-on, at least.
What does the night look like? You jump in bed and fall asleep halfway through it, or you jump on the couch with some chocolate?
No. I've got the TV in the bedroom. So,
yeah.
So
a bit of chocolate in bed? You'll have to eat in bed?
No. I don't need it, mate. Body's temple.
I just said you eat a custard donut before, Adam.
You had 2.
I had 1. And mine was chocolate.
Just put it on the car, the ABC Listen app. You'll have the perfect companion. So Australia with Travis Head. Maybe the mighty South Australian can bounce back after dropping the catch yesterday. The Tigers winners by 20 points in Trent Cotchin's 300th game. 13-12-90 to the Saints 11-4-70. Thanks so much for your company from the MCG. Lauren Borden gets our 3 votes. Sitting in the rain. Full credit to her. Thanks to Brent Harvey. Always a pleasure to have you with us, Boomer.
Thank you. Great call, guys.
Thank you to Rama. Thanks to Jess Webster. To Stuart Birchmore, the star on the faders, and to Andrew Williamson back in the studio. The Tigers winners by 20 points. If you're listening to us on local radio in the capital cities, plus all of Tassie, you're off to normal programs. But don't forget, you can hear the cricket via the ABC Listen app. And for all those of you tuning in regional radio and Sport Digital, you'll join the coverage from the BBC Test Match Special with Jonathan Agnew and our very own Jim Maxwell for continued coverage of Day 2 of the first Test. Currently at lunch, Australia are 3 for 78 with Usman Khawaja on 40 and Travis Head.